emotions. Are you ready to go deep like oceans? Can you take me to a place above? Are you down for my love? Are you ready for these emotions? Are you ready to show devotion? Are you down for my love? Are you down for my love? Are you ready? 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 Are you down for my love? Are you ready? 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 Are you ready for these emotions? Are you ready to go deep like oceans? Can you take me to a place above? Are you down for my love? Are you ready for these emotions? Are you ready to show devotion? Are you down for my love? Are you down for my love? Are you ready? 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 Are you down for my love? Are you ready? 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 Are you down for my love? Are you ready for these emotions? Are you ready to go deep like oceans? Can you take me to a place above? Are you down for my love? Are you ready for these emotions? Are you ready to show devotion? Are you down for my love? Are you down for my love?
Two hearts inside your eyes, can you feel the rush? Closing the gap we made, oh, how I miss your touch. Push through the ceiling now, we can raise it up. Am I dreaming? Come feel what I feel, come see what I see. Drop your guard and let the night take over.
she wants, says she knows exactly where she can go.
It's deja vu all over again as we return to the virtual Volusia Speedway. The first time out in the series, we saw Blake Chapman be the dominant force with a first and second place finish in the Sprinters, with Lane Snook taking an emotional victory in the 360s. On the late model side of things, it was Steven Spies taking top step glory. Now, will those trends continue tonight, or will we see some different names rise to the top of the order? We'll find out soon as we have 3 races and plenty of dirt action to bring you tonight. Hello, everyone. My name is DJ Clark, and on behalf of my partner here in the booth, JR Shepard, as well as everyone behind the scenes at the Virtual Grip Network and the Coast to Coast Racing Networks, we'd like to welcome you to the Icon Sim Sports Hometown Heroes Series live from Volusia Speedway. With those 3 events to get through, there is a lot of dirt track action in store, with 2 categories of wing sprints and a pro late models race slated to take place on the sport of dirt track. It is nothing short of electric. But before we get to that, we'd like to thank our sponsor of tonight's pre-race show, SBGC 3D Printing. JR, we were out at this track last week, and certainly it is no stranger to you and I, but what do you think the most important things for our viewers to know about this circuit is?
Well, certainly this is an amazing track, one of my favorites to be at. It's a half-mile D-shaped oval that was originally opened in 1968 as dirt, was later converted to pavement in 1989, and then reverted back to dirt in 1997. But this is a great track, multi-groove racing. You can run high, you can run low. Primarily, you're going to be starting on the low to middle lane early on just because there's a lot of moisture in the track. So that's where you're going to want to be early. But we're running the 305s, the 360s here. The 305 is going to pretty much be wide out open around this whole track. 360s, you'll have to use a little bit of throttle control, especially as the track wears. And again, this track, it's fun. It gives you multiple places to run. The corner exits narrow up on turn 4, out of turn 4, and then out of turn 2, it opens wide open. So there's a lot of different lanes that you can run here, and it makes it really fun as a driver.
Well, it's very fun as a driver, and it's very fun as a viewer. And as we get ready for the first event here tonight, that's the A&J Custom Creations 305 Sprint Series. Just want to walk you through a little bit of what we are in store here in terms of format. This is going to be heat racing as we are used to see, so drivers will head out on track for qualifying after some practice. After that practice, we are going to have a series of heat races. It's going to be 8 laps with the top 4 advancing from the A main, and those top 4 will be inverted. All setups are going to be fixed, custom created by the one and only Alex Bergeron, so that will be a great thing to see. Cautions will be turned off for the consies as well as the heat races. The only time we're going to see that get thrown. There is a review committee that will look at all incidents out on track, and most importantly, it is the top 24 overall that will make it into the A main event. So a lot of fun action out on track. JR, I love this place. I love sprint cars. I love coming here week after week. Do you think the fact that we've got a little bit of return, that it's coming back onto it, is that going to change things up a little bit now that these drivers have already had a week out on track?
Yes, I absolutely think it will. So, you're going to a track, first time for a season in a series. You don't exactly know what to expect. You don't know what everybody's driving style is going to be like for sure, or how they're going to race around you. Now you've got that under your belt. You know how to approach things a little bit differently, and I think you're going to see guys try some stuff different than what they did last week.
Well, it'll sure be interesting to see. We're watching drivers out on track right now for that practice session, watching the number 70 out here right now as he works his way around, trying that low line. That is Mike Cranmer, currently at the top of the charts. Nick Vickery, I see more Patton and Reynolds as well. Lane Snook in P5. Not seeing Chapman up there, which is a little bit surprising. He is down the order, so we'll have to see if that machine has a little bit more speed in him. This is Nathan Aldridge in the 514.
Yeah, absolutely. And these are the 305s, so they're really big momentum cars. It's going to make the field really, really tight. So you may see some guys that have really good race craft, not necessarily put in an extremely fast lap. So again, tight field. Got to keep your momentum up. Right now, that may be the middle lane. It looks like the bottom lane's getting wore in pretty good. So we'll have to see what guys choose to run here as we get into qualifying.
Yeah, and we've seen a lot of talk about that, about the high versus the low lane, specifically in these 305s. As you said, a lot of momentum-type cars. A little bit similar to what we're used to seeing you run out here, JR, in those dirt street stocks, just in terms of trying to keep that momentum up as much as possible.
Absolutely, and the biggest way you do that is not scrubbing off speed. So if you're wide open on the throttle, you've got to keep that car as straight as you can while also making the corner. And it sounds easy, but it's not when you're on dirt. So with these 305s, they have really, really big right rear tires. It's very, very easy to allow the car to drift too far sideways in the corner. And as soon as you do that, even if it's just by 5 or 10 degrees more than what you normally do, it's going to scrub off a lot of speed and you're going to lose a lot of time.
In Time is the name of the game. We watched the 008 here of Bob Everston working his way around, getting a little bit flirty with some of that slick stuff. Oh, great camera angle here. I absolutely love that. You can see just how much he has got to be careful, trying a little bit of that high lane and maybe sticking those low side tires into the slick stuff. Looked a little bit slippery there coming out of turn 4. And JR, you talked about it, how this track really, really narrows up there out of turn 4. And we certainly made mention of it last week that is a big, big danger area, as well as the sort of D shape that backstretch can be as well.
Yeah, the D-shaped oval really makes turn 3 very inviting, especially if you're on the inside. You think, man, I've got a lot of room. I'm going to throw the car in there. And you can, but if you do not clear that guy on the outside of you, by the time you get to turn 4, you're going to have to lift or hold your car down, and it's going to cost you a lot of time. So it's very tricky. You don't want to overstep your bounds at all, but very, very easy to do.
Very easy to do, but what is not easy to do is qualify. As we get ready for qualifying, presented by the Pitside Podcast, we've got drivers out on track right now, as we are going to keep an eye on these times as they come on in and start a tumbling on. See Andy Patton looking good there on the opening stages, but this is going to be a big decider. This qualifying session's very, very crucial to see who is going to be able to put themselves up towards the top, as we are waiting here for the first times to tick across. There they come across the line. We'll get that there. It's Templeton currently holding the top time. Patton, Ross able to get him above him. I see Kemper in 4th and Reynolds back in 5th. That's to Good in 4th right there. Still waiting for some more drivers. Clevenger able to bump his way up into P2. Aldrich into P4. There goes Templeton again. That's his second lap. Chapman coming up to P2. And Lane Snook looking fast in P1.
Absolutely. Guys putting in times really fast here. Really, really tight on the field. Chapman goes back up to P2. I think Wineland now in P6. Moore jumps up to 3. It's changing really, really fast. These guys are putting in some good times.
Putting in some very, very good times there across the board. We're seeing a lot of drivers getting them down there. Not surprising to see Chapman and Snook near the top. Chapman and Snook, I should say, in terms of that. Seeing more there up there as well. Patton just waiting for some more times to come in. I just saw Randy Shrebs able to put his time up into P9 right there. Nick Vickery looking particularly good, able to put in his first lap at P2, so that's an excellent time for Nick.
Absolutely. Jumps up late in the session there. Still got some guys on track trying to put some times in here. Not a lot of changes at the top at the moment. We'll see who's left.
Well, and we are lucky enough to be joined by our in-race reporter, Nick Vickery, for today. And Nick, how's the track feeling out there in these 305s?
Yeah, it feels really good. For qualifying, they reset the track state to 15%. So if you look getting into the corners, it's actually a little bit slick getting in. So here in qualifying, the fast line is definitely still going to be the bottom, but you got to be really careful coming across this slick about 1 lane up. But once you cross through that, the track feels really good.
Yep, Nick, just got a couple of questions for you. You said they reset the track state. Obviously got a lot more moisture in it now, but for these heat races, is there a preferred lane that you're gonna look for? Is it still the bottom, or you think maybe trying to run that middle is gonna be a little bit better?
Yeah, I think early heat races, you're going to see guys trying to hug that bottom right against the wall, which, as we've seen in previous races, it's pretty detrimental in the open wheel cars because if you make contact with that wall, it'll flip you over really, really quick. But I think as you get into the later heat races, you'll start seeing guys move up the track and try to keep that momentum up because the moisture just not in the bottom anymore.
Well, all right. There you heard it first from our pit lane reporter, Nick Vickery. But it is time for heat racing. In this first heat race brought to you by Lucas Oil Empire Super Sprint. Starting off in pole position, it is going to be the Canadian of G.J. Boydell, followed by Brandon Templeton, with Brian Moore Sr. lining up in third and Blake Chapman in fourth.
Fifth place driver is going to be John Rayner Jr., sixth place will be Bob DeGood, and seventh is Mike Cranmer.
Well, and JR, obviously the invert coming into play out here as we watch these drivers work their way around, but the top four advancing, how quickly do you think it's going to be for drivers like Chapman that they're going to want to work their way forward? Obviously, top four advance, but if you get a win in a heat race, that means you got better starting position for the A-main. So how much is that going to be playing on the drivers' minds?
Absolutely, it's going to. So, first goal is to get in the top four. After that, if you've got something to work with, you feel good with the track state, go get what you can. So, Chapman, if he feels that his car is in good shape compared to everybody else's, he's definitely going to try to charge and get up there to the win.
Exactly, and I've got my eye on Moore as well. But Blake Chapman obviously taking the victory last time out here, also looked very strong in those 360 sprints, coming in second in that race as well. Waiting here for everything to get going. What do you think are going to be some of the keys here, especially in the early stages of the heat race where the track isn't necessarily as slicked in as we're going to see later on, JR?
Yeah, I think staying to that lower middle lane is going to be the way you want to go, just because it's the shortest way around the track. These are momentum cars, but the track changes quick the more you put cars out on it. So whatever you're doing, you want to make sure you're trying to keep this car as straight as possible, keep your speed up, and just protect your lane. So it's if a guy gets to your outside, he may be able to hold you down enough that he can get by you. So got to pay attention to that.
We got to pay attention indeed. And what we also have to pay attention to here are your leaders who are getting ready to take the green flag. And there it flies out there. Brandon Templeton tries to get a good jump on the field over G.J. Boydell, but Boydell trying to hold on down to that inside lane. There's a little bit of contact. That's going to force Templeton way, way wide. Brian Moore Sr. trying to take advantage and dive his way up into the middle.
Amazing three-wide racing here. Back down to two wide. We see Boydell and Chapman really going at it here. Looks like, Chapman's got the lead finally. That was not long at all, DJ.
No, it was not. Chapman moving his way up front. G.J. Boydell trying to hold on to that middle groove that you talked about. Looked like a little bit of a challenge there from Moore, but Templeton trying to put a little bit of pressure there as well. They're side by side back for that third place position.
Absolutely. Templeton looking to the inside of Moore. He's kind of got the run here. See if he can pull off a little bit of a slide job. Oh, it kind of hooks the inside berm, so Moore's going to hold that spot.
Moore's going to hold that spot. Templeton trying to charge ahead. Little bit of a move there, but back from Rayner and Cranmer trying to get it as we get ready to cross over with halfway here to go in the race. Everybody relatively single file here at this point. Big slide out there for Rayner, just trying to find a little bit more speed.
Yeah, at this point, Templeton's just trying to gather himself back up. He knows he's in fourth. He's in a transfer spot. He's just got to keep his momentum going, make sure he keeps Rayner behind him.
Exactly. A little bit of movement there up ahead for Bob Moore Sr., just trying to see what he can find as fast slap of the race there, looking like it just got set by Blake Chapman as they continue to work their way around. Chapman continuing to lead here, getting ready to cross over to start on lap 7.
Absolutely. Chapman's still pulling away with a big lead here. Top four look pretty content. I think they're going to ride for the remaining laps here. They know they're transferred in, and it's a gap back to fifth at the moment.
Yeah, it is. Nobody really wanting to make too aggressive of a move and take away that potential guarantee into the A-main. They cross over to take the white flag as Blake Chapman for Vanderpool Racing in that number 20 machine takes through the final time through turns 3 and 4 right now, letting that car run a little bit wide on that low line, and he's going to take victory here in the first heat race presented by Lucas Oil Empire Super Sprints. Boydell, Moore, and Templeton, your other 4 drivers that will automatically advance into the A-main.
Yeah, great run by Blake Chapman there. It was pretty impressive.
It was indeed. John Rayner Jr., Mike Cranmer, and Bob DeGood. Well, they're going to have to go back and get ready to see if they can do anything in some of the consolation races. But we here are ready for the second heat race presented by Super Dirt Car Series. It's going to be Donovan Ross lining up in pole position, followed by Randy Strevis with Andy Patton and our very own Nick Vickery in P4.
Starting in P5 will be Dean Reynolds, P6 will be Gary Taylor, and running out the field in P7 will be Steven Bixler.
Well, JR, it looked pretty much standard as we saw those drivers out on track. I didn't really see a whole lot of changes or any really thing that surprised me, but what about you?
No, kind of what we expected there. The inside lane is still an option. It looks like it's pretty slick down there, but you got to be very, very careful not to get that wall. If you do, you're going to potentially lose a lot of spots.
And there you can see those championship standings presented by iRacing League Manager. Obviously, only one race here in the book, so pretty much just finishing out courtesy of how everybody finished last time. But we'll keep an eye on that, see if Chapman is able to grow that advantage a little bit more, or if maybe our very own Nick Vickery or some of these other drivers can start to work their way forward. We saw a lot of good action last time in the A-Main heat race.
Absolutely. So it's going to be very interesting to watch here. Obviously, Nick, he's going to be making a run, I think, to the front. But a lot of these guys, it's kind of unknown. It's a good field to watch here. Try to see how things are going to work out the rest of the night.
It is indeed, as all eyes are going to go to that number 5, Donovan Ross. Strevis to his outside. Nick Vickery and Patton in the 87 there behind him as well, waiting for the iRacing pace truck to pull off, and so we can get this second heat race presented by Super Dirt Car Sprints ready to go. And there comes the green flag. It's a good jump. Strevis able to get a good jump on Ross there to be able to pull it away. As already Nick Vickery able to get the jump up into P3.
Absolutely, already making a run here. He sees the leaders. He kind of sees what they're running. He can kind of set them up, figure out where he wants to run going forward. Right now, Shreve's still out front. Ross looking to the inside.
Ross starts to look to the inside, trying to carry a little bit more speed there, but it doesn't look like it's working. That momentum line up on that middle high line is going to work very close between Shreves and Ross there, between the two of them. And here comes Vickery. He's got that outside working, putting that is Ross down. Ross tries to fight back a little bit, but that medium-high lane, it seems to be the way to go here for Nick Vickery, who is on a charge.
Absolutely moving forward, and you saw Ross there just had to take a shallow entry into 3, kind of messed up his corner a little bit, got into the wall. Thankfully, he only lost a spot. He's still battling here for 3rd. Looks like Patton's catching him though at the moment.
But Ross is not letting this spot go to Vickery, shoving his nose down there again, maybe a little bit sideways. Did he catch the wall again there, JR?
He got very close if he didn't, so he's flirting with that inside wall for sure. I'm sure there's grip down there in the front of the tires by going down there, but it's definitely slicking off. The rear tires are not liking it as much, and it's harder and harder to keep your momentum up.
Well, and these four have a big gap back to Reynolds there, who is about 0.6 of a second off the back of that for this final transfer of position. Patton holding on to it pretty well. Ross looking like he's falling back into the clutches of Patton ever so slightly, running a little bit of a modified slider line, let's call it, as they cross over 7 laps here that they are working. Only one more to go. That's Patton trying to take a look down to the inside of Ross.
Absolutely, he got a good run off of 2, was able to get to the inside, shorten that back stretch, almost has him clear off of 4. He may have it now going into 1.
And indeed, it does look like he does have it going into 1, as that is the white flag in the air. Only 1 lap here to go, as this is the fiercest battle out on track between 3 and 4. Patton, Ross, trying to figure out who's going to take it. That's going to be Patton to the high side, Ross to the low side. It's going to be momentum that takes Patton around, and that is going to be Shrevs, Vickery, Patton, and Ross advancing into your A-main here tonight.
Absolutely great there by Patton and Ross, showing us what this track can put on racing-wise for the rest of the night.
Exactly. Dean Reynolds, Gary Taylor, and Steven Bixler, they're unable to advance. Bixler had a problem out on track that we were unable to see, so that is what put him down there. So they're going to have to go back to the consolation races here at this point. But we get ready for heat race number 3, presented by the World of Sports podcast. It is going to be Nathan Aldrich lining up in pole position, followed by Jack Clevenger with Austin Marlett and Lane Snook lining up in P4.
In P5, we got Jeffrey Kemper. P6 is Roger Craig. P7 is going to go to Christopher Buell.
All right there, so a little bit more action, and we saw that super low line starting to get flirted with there a little bit more, JR. Is that can we see a little bit more of the rest of the night, or do you think that was a little bit of a one-off there from Ross trying to run low like that?
DJ, I hope it stays that way. It looks like turn 2 is becoming really racy to where you can get a run, turn to the inside of somebody, and if you do it just right, you can get a really good run down the backstretch and have enough momentum and clearance to clear the guy going into turn 3. So that definitely puts on great racing when we see that, so hopefully that continues.
It sure does indeed, and I think especially if that low line's got a little bit of grip there, we may see some sliders starting to get thrown, and that's always a fun thing to see. But for right now, we have got to be focused on what is going to be going on here. Aldrich leading from Clevenger with Marlin and Snook behind. Lane Snook, obviously the winner last time out in the 360s. Didn't have the best run in the 305s, but that young hot shoe certainly wants to make up for it here. Eyes on the iRacing pace truck as that's about ready to pull off. There it goes. And now eyes to Nathan Aldrich as the Norca waits for the green flag. There goes the green flag. He is on it early, but that high line continuing to pay dividends off of the start. Clevenger has a nose ahead as they go on through, and that's Lane Snook following him on the outside.
Absolutely, outside looking good early there. Aldrich fighting back at the moment, but having to slide up the track off of turn 4. It gets really, really slick, really tight there.
One lap in the books, and he's already lost 2 positions. Marlin holding on there, but Craig is going to fight back. Those two are in a side-by-side battle for that final transfer spot, but there you can see it really trying to get a little bit squirrely. Craig working on that high line. That's going to be Marlin, the 999, losing out down low, and it is going to be Clevenger up front, continuing to lead from Lane Snook, but if I know Lane Snook, he does not want to let that go quietly.
Not at all, not at all. So he's going to race hard for sure. Right now what I'm seeing is at the bottom lane, you can make a run on a guy, but it does not look like you can stay down there lap after lap. So you got to get a run and set the guy up and get it over with quick.
It is indeed, as we are side by side for the lead there. Lane Snook starting to make that high line work. He got a little bit of a crossover, but that's going to be Clevenger fighting back on the high line. Snook now down low, Clevenger up high. 5 laps that we are working on right now. Snook loses out again low. Now it's Snook going to go high. Is he going to go super high, trying to ride that cushion a little bit? Yes, he is, but he's got to watch out because that's Nathan Aldrich there starting to come up from behind him in the 514.
Absolutely. Top 3's kind of pulled away a little bit. That's putting on some great racing because these guys know that they can race for the win here instead of just having to protect the top 4 spots. So these guys are searching around right now. They're trying to see what the track may produce later on in the night.
Exactly. Lane Snook looking like he's taking a little bit of a higher entry there into the corner where Clevenger is sort of diamonding it off a little bit more. But Snook just running very consistently. I get the sense that he is stalking behind Clevenger here, seeing if he can maybe make a run on this final lap. There's that low dive, big twitch of the car. I don't think that's going to work out the way Lane Snook wants it to, and indeed, he is going to fall back into second place. Again, he's going to try to go low, see if he can make anything work here as they come out of turn 4. Car looking a little bit twitchy, but he's going to be able to hold on to it. It's Clevenger that takes the win here in the 3rd heat race, followed by Snook, Aldrich, and Craig automatically advancing.
Absolutely. Kemper, Marlett, and these guys falling out the back half of the field. Christopher Buell, they know that they're going to have to go on later tonight and try to find a way in, but this race really showed us what the track is capable of doing, and hopefully these guys learned a lot for later.
Yeah, indeed. A lot of good action there, a lot of good fun. But we've still got more in store because we've got yet another heat race. This is heat race number 4 presented by Gambler Motorsports with the Australia-New Zealander Jamie McCarran lining up in first position, followed by Joe Canellis with Taylor Wineland and Zach Chapman, your top 4.
Yeah, starting 5th will be Kyle Parker, 6th Nick Shell, and then 7th is going to be Bob Everson.
Well, in that last heat race there, JR, you said and you mentioned it, just seeing what this track can really present. And I think the car that was really showing us absolutely everything was Lane Snook, really and truly riding high, riding low, just trying to find anything to try to get on by.
Yeah, the track's opening up, so we're getting more and more room to race at the moment. Definitely have 2 lanes, but the top's going to be predominantly better at the moment. You're going to have to set up a run to pass on the inside. You're going to have to get a good run from the top side, drop down low, and make that pass. And like I said, there's grip down there at the bottom for the front tires, but only for a short period.
only for a short period, and we're going to have to see if that sticks true, especially with more and more of this track slicking up. Now, we're seeing the cushion ride higher and higher up the track, and at what point, JR, does that start to get terrifying?
Yeah, these cars can potentially build up a really, really tall cushion. So once that cushion gets really, really tall, the track gets really bumpy. If you hit the cushion incorrectly, you could go tumbling or up into the wall on the outside. So it's something these guys are going to have to be careful with. They're going to have to fill it out each lap around the track and just see how it develops.
Yeah, we actually saw that cushion come back to bite at this very track with another race on the VGN in the race you were running in last time. But we can't talk about that now because we've got to watch McCarron as the green flag is out, and there he goes. It's a better start. That's one of the better starts I've seen for the inside lane. But Canellis is going to try to make a run on the outside the best that he can. McCarron able to hold it and get up to that top line to be able to hold it out. There is a big battle in the back between Chapman and Parker for that final transfer position.
Absolutely. The last four guys in the field here are really racing hard. They know that they've got to get that fourth spot if they want to transfer in later.
We were almost 3 wide as we came to the stripe there and continue to be absolutely duking it out there in the back. I see a big dive down the middle there from Everston, trying to make things work out here as we go into turn 2. Noah's Ark style 2x2 start to force themselves out a little bit. That was Wineland making a big run on the outside.
He absolutely is, and the thing is, these guys up front are not single file. They're side by side, and we got a wreck.
Got a big wreck. Cars tumbling down the front stretch. I believe that is Chapman that got taken out. Parker and Shell may have been caught up with it as well, but now what that leaves is a trifecta up front. That is Wineland, McCarron, and Canellis all duking it out. That is McCarron down to the low side. Canellis able to carry some momentum and demote McCarron down to P3.
Yeah, let's watch these top three guys. They're going to be able to move around wherever they want to and try to make some passes here. They know that they're locked in as long as they do not crash. So a lot of moving around here.
Yeah, a lot of moving around, a lot of trying to see that as we put lap 6 in the books. Wineland continues to lead from Canellis, from McCarron. Everston there about a second and a half behind these guys, but he's got a 7/10 of a second advantage over Shell, so he's pretty much locked in at this point as well. That is going to be McCarron trying that low side to see if there's anything doing there as they start lap 7, but it just doesn't seem like it's getting the full speed that he wants it to.
No, it's not at the moment, but I like what he's doing. He's searching around. He's trying to learn everything he can. Later on in the race, you may not be able to do this tonight. You're going to have a lot of cars around you. So he's searching, trying to figure out what works and what doesn't work, and it's going to pay off, I think, later.
As there we see Wineland taking the white flag around here. McCarron, as you said, just kind of searching, trying to see. Maybe has a little bit of something here over Canellis, but I think that high line's going to pay out. And indeed, it's going to be Wineland taking victory here in this fourth Heat race, followed by Canellis, McCarron, Everston, able to lock in that final transfer stop with Shell, Parker, and Chapman unable to advance.
Yep, unfortunate that there was a wreck during that race, took some guys out of contention, but it really helped us see what drivers are looking at. The inside line's definitely an option. I just think these guys are trying to learn how to drive it, but it could potentially be a really good line later on.
It could indeed, and this is going to bring us to the B main, presented by Chip Bangers Racing. And in this, remember, we are looking for 24 drivers in the main heat. So I have to do math here, which is always a terrifying subject. So that we are looking for the top 8 to transfer here, if I did my math correctly. So it is going to be John Rayner Jr. lining up in pole position, followed by Dean Reynolds with Jeffrey Kemper in P3 and Nick Shell in P4. Mike Cranmer will be P5, followed by Gary Taylor and Austin Marlett in 7th. And that final transfer spot to start out is going to go to Kyle Parker.
Starting in 9th will be Bob DeGood. 10th will be Stephen Bixler. Christopher Buell is in 11th, and Zach Chapman will be in 12th.
All right, so this is really now or never time for these drivers. They have got to put it on the line, those top 8 transfers. So if you are in those final 4 spots, that means you are going home early, and that is something you never want to have happen to you, JR.
No, it's absolutely not. I'm going to kind of be paying attention to Stephen Bixler here. He's starting 10th on the outside lane. Probably a good spot to start the race. Maybe he'll pick up a couple of positions early on here.
Yeah, well, we've seen that high line be very good at the start, and the other driver that I'm going to be watching for on that high line is Zach Chapman. Remember, he was involved in that incident in that final heat race, and that sent him back down the order, so he is another one that could be looking to move his way forward.
Yeah, absolutely. Those guys, I think, are probably, if they're smart, they're going to work together, try to follow each other through on the high line before they start racing, getting to that top 8 transfer spot first.
Exactly. As we watch John Rayner Jr. there on your screen, Parker down to the order. Lots of good drivers here in this field. Parker playing little games, getting up nice and close behind that number 70 of Mike Cranmer. But we have got to be focused here on Barney the Flagman because the iRacing pace truck is about to pull off to the side, and there's a very early start for Rayner. Reynolds tries to get on it. I see Shell getting a good start there for P3, trying to challenge Kemper a little bit. Kemper forced down low. Little bit of contact there in the back.
Absolutely. Somebody into the outside wall, into the opening in the backstretch. That was a hard hit.
Was a hard hit indeed, and I think that was Bixler that got sent up, just kind of nowhere to go. You can see that check up there in front of him. Let's watch this again. Oh, yeah, just nowhere and right onto the access road. That is going to end Steven Bixler's night early.
Absolutely unfortunate. Just nowhere to go there, and that's a bad feeling as a driver.
Indeed it is, as we get back to live pictures here, waiting for it as there it is. We're going to take one. Now we're going to come back to live pictures. Sorry about that. We're having some technical difficulties. As we continue to watch our drivers working their way around here, John Rayner Jr. continues to lead from Dean Reynolds. Oh, there looks like a good run in behind. Continuing to go around there. You can see the cars are not going faster on your screen. Don't worry. That is, you are not crazy. We're just catching back up on time here. So we're having some problems behind the booth, but Rayner Jr. continuing to lead. Nick Shell behind him. Kyle Parker, Dean Reynolds, and Jeffrey Kemper, your top five. Behind them, it is Cranmer and Gary Taylor with Zach Chapman holding on to that final transfer position. There we get back live to it. It is really getting to be a pretty close battle here. Nick Shell able to move his way up into that top position. A little bit of bang in there between Parker, Shell, and Rayner.
Absolutely. Slamming the bars a little bit on the backstretch, moving each other around. Parker gets the lead. Looks like Shell's going to make another run to the inside here. Not sure it's going to work out. Slides back into second.
Indeed he is. Chapman holding on to that final transfer position, but that is a big move. Oh, there's contact. That's going to check up the field massively. We've got a car completely sideways. I believe that's Taylor who got caught out in the 34.
Absolutely. Another game-changing moment here. So that's going to knock a guy out that could potentially transferred in. That pretty much ends his night, I believe.
Yeah, pretty much ends his night, but that's going to really separate out the field here as Parker leads from Shell, Reynolds, Rayner, Kemper, Marlett, Chapman, and Cranmer. Your top eight transferring on in right now. We watch here Dean Reynolds working his way along the high side as we get ready to take the checkered, and it is Kyle Parker taking victory, followed by Shell, Reynolds, Kemper, Rayner, Marlett, Chapman, and Cranmer automatically advancing. Everybody else here, unfortunately, JR, have to going home. That was an action-packed B main event. There you can see Steven Bixler obviously getting caught out early and Gary Taylor being a result of those problems as well.
Absolutely. So going home, we're going to have Bob DeGood, Christopher Buell, Gary Taylor, and Steven Bixler. Unfortunate for them. A lot of things happened in that race that weren't their faults, but that's the way racing goes. So we'll go on and watch warm up here and then see how the feature plays out.
Indeed, and one driver who didn't have to worry about running in that very chaotic B main was our very own Nick Vickery, who is currently out on track practicing right now. Nick, how's the track feeling, and what have you learned thus far?
So it's a lot different than it was in my heat race. You know, the slick part of the track is definitely widened out quite a lot. I kind of going into the feature. My game plan right now is I'm starting on the high side, so. I'm in the preferred line, I believe, so just making it through corner one and trying to run a clean race, I think, is going to be pretty detrimental to finishing up front here tonight.
Absolutely, for sure. Nick, do you think that we're going to see a lot of slider lines develop here, guys being able to get the run, get to the inside of somebody, and then have to just dive it in from the bottom up to the top?
Yeah, I think to pass here, because the fast line is eventually going to become the slider line. So I think what you'll see a lot of guys doing is they'll try to enter high and then diamond the backside of the corner to try to catch a run coming onto the straightaway and then throw their own slider when they get door to door with the guy in front of them.
Absolutely. Hey, if anybody throws a move on you like that, going down the big long back straightaway in the turn 3, is there a way you can back off and try to cross them over and get a good run off of 4? Or is it just too tight?
Yeah, you can. And you race around with these guys every week. That's one of the good things about racing at the same track is you kind of learn everybody's driving style, and just knowing who's around you is going to give you a pretty good idea of what they're going to do going into the corner. And a lot of us have raced with each other for several seasons, so several years, and you just about know what the guy's going to do before you even get to the corner. So that's kind of helpful and kind of helps you set up your corner entry and corner exit based on who you're around.
Well, thank you so much, Nick. We're going to let you get back to practicing and get ready for this warm-up here. That was Nicholas Vickery, our in-race reporter. He's currently in 3rd right now, so he's doing pretty well for himself. No surprises here, JR. Blake Chapman and Lane Snook 1, 2, and Nick Vickery in 3rd. Clevenger having a good performance to put himself 4th.
Absolutely. So, they say the cream always rises to the top. So, as you get late into this, right as the race starts, you're going to see the guys that are normally fast up front. But we do have guys that are extremely close on time here. These are the 305s. If you drive them correctly, you can get those times in that are right up there with the fast guys.
Yeah, indeed. I mean, just look at those gaps. We're talking thousandths of a second around here. So you're going to hear us certainly referring to car lengths rather than time, I think. But we are ready to go racing here, a 24-lap feature. Blake Chapman's going to be leading everything off for the A&J Custom Creations 305 Sprint Series, followed by Randy Strebs behind him. Jack Clevenger will be P3, followed by Taylor Wineland with GJ Boydell in 5th and Nick Vickery in 6th. Lane Snook will line up in 7th, followed by Joe Canales with Brian Moore Sr. in 9th and Andy Patton in 10th. Nathan Aldrich will be 11th, and Jamie McCarron rounds out your top 12.
In 13th, we have Brandon Templeton. 14th, Donovan Ross. 15th goes to Roger Craig. 16th, Bob Evertson. Kyle Parker starts in 17th. Nick Shell in 18th. We have Dean Reynolds in 19th. Jeffrey Kemper in 20th. 21st goes to John Rayner Jr. 22nd, Austin Marlett. 23rd goes to Zach Chapman. And the last starting place tonight in 24th goes to Mike Cranmer.
All right, so the biggest field we have seen out on track, and only a 20-lap feature here, so we could see some drivers really trying to push their way forwards. Also important to remember, JR, that caution laps are turned on here, so this is where we will see that dreaded yellow flag get thrown out.
Absolutely, and it's probably going to happen. This is the most cars we've seen on track. Guys are going to be searching around, trying to make passes, and as they do that, incidental contact can be made from guys behind you. So, I think we're definitely going to see some cautions. Be interesting to see how it plays out. And, you might get lucky on the restart lane, which lane you're in. If you get in the preferred line, you can make up some spots there.
We've seen that high line really be the side that looks like it's working best around here. Do you anticipate that continuing?
Absolutely. That groove is going a little bit higher and higher. You can see that these guys are going to continue to stick their right rear tire right up there against that cushion to try to get the maximum grip. But like Nick talked about earlier, you can get a run from the top side, go underneath somebody down the back stretch, and if you do it correctly, you can clear them going into turn 3.
Well, we're not going to have a whole lot of time to figure out who is going to be best around here because it is about time to get on and get racing here. All eyes turn to Chapman as there go the lights and here comes the thunder. We're racing at Volusia. Shrevs gets a good start on Chapman. They're side by side, diving into the corner as the whole field looks like they're getting their way nice and through and easy, but the 78 of Clevenger looks like he's losing out big time. Wineland trying to make a move to the outside of him. Chapman continues to lead, pushing up a little bit on Shrevs, but Shrevs able to get the momentum on the high line.
Absolutely. Clevenger's going to have to get up if he can here. I think he's going to finally clear and move up. Otherwise, he was going to go backwards. We have Wineland holding on to 4th, trying to make a move back here to get the 3rd spot.
Trying to get his way back to 3rd spot. Chapman takes the position back from Shrevs. We watch here the 78 of Clevenger, who now holds down that 3rd place exclusively. Wineland trying to close in behind him. I see Joe Canellis working his way up forward as well as we continue to work our way around here, working lap 3. Everything green thus far.
Yep, everybody trying to single file out, settle in a little bit, run the laps down, and decide what kind of run they want to make on the guy in front of them.
Exactly. It looks like a lot of drivers opting for that high line around here. Nobody really wanting to drive low besides the 114 of GJ Boydell, who's trying to make that work. Looks like the 87 behind him as well, trying to make that work there. That's the 5 out in no man's land. That is Wineland. Taylor Wineland not looking like he's having the best of times there, but we've got a couple of drivers really starting to look like they fall down the order. GJ Boydell and Canellis really duking it out here as well. Yellow out. Yellow is out on track. Yeah, this looks like here we watch Kyle Parker running on the high line contact. Ooh, 1, 2, 3, up and over. Oh, looked like a bit of a sitting passenger there, JR.
Almost out of the stadium on that one, so that was a bad hit. That's always a rough spot right off of turn 2, right where that wall opening is. It's very easy to get too high or push too high, and then once you are, there's just no saving it.
Oh, that is very, very tough to experience there, but it's going to reset everything here on lap 5, waiting for everything to sort of cycle back around here. Chapman and Shrevis continue to lead. Clevenger there behind them. Any surprises thus far, JR?
Not really so far. So we've kind of seen the guys that we thought would be up front be there. It's going to be interesting on this restart, how things go. I believe we do double file restarts here, so the guys on the outside lane are going to have an advantage if they can get that lane going on the start. Otherwise, it's going to be just falling in where you can.
Yeah, exactly. As we continue to watch around here, Chapman, Shrevs continuing to lead. They should go back to single file order here in a couple of laps. As pace truck lights are out, do we restart? We do restart single file here, I believe. So that takes that question out of it.
Yep, that changes things completely. So you don't have to worry about a preferred lane. You just have to worry about how you get going on this restart, and to make sure the guy behind you doesn't get a better jump than you do.
Yeah, exactly. So this does change things a little bit. It'll keep the order a little bit more separated out, but the pace truck about ready to pull off here. We ride on board with Shrevis, and an early jump there from Chapman. Remember, leader does control restarts, as that's Clevenger that tries to take a look down to the inside of him, but it's not going to work. Everybody running on that high line. I think that's GJ Boydell still trying to make that low line work a little bit more, but Jamie McCarron also there in the 211, trying to make some things work in the back of the field. They're relatively separated out up at the top. We keep our eye here on this battle. There's Lane Snook. He is one of the ones running down low in that 1, 2, 3, trying to see what he can do.
Yeah, I absolutely like what Lane Snook was doing there early. Right on restarts, if everybody gets congested on that top side, you're going to be able to roll the bottom and potentially make a lot of passes, and it looked like it was working for him early there. He's going to try it again here as everybody follows back up.
Yeah, everybody falls back up here. Lane Snook starting to press a little bit of an advantage on GJ Boydell. Boydell running that high line, but Snook again being able to put that car down low where he wants to make it work. Is he going to be able to get the pass done? No, but GJ Boydell getting a little bit checked up from Vickery in front of him. That's the 5 of Wineland running the middle lane as well.
Yep, Snook continuing to work on Boydell here, trying to make some ground. I mean, the inside is really holding tough here, so kind of surprised by that. Looks like we've got pretty equal grooves here if you run the lines correctly.
We ride on board with Nick Vickery, who's poking his nose to the inside of Wineland in that 005. He's going to try a little bit of a higher line, try to carry some momentum. Whoa! Wineland saw that coming and planted that car just where he needed to do. And look who got the position on that. That's Lane Snook with the slider. A great job from the 1, 2, 3.
Yep, exactly what you got to be looking for. If those guys are going to get held up on the top side, you can run that bottom and make a lot of time.
But we've got another yellow flag out here on track, waiting to see who that was. We're going to go back and check out the replay. This is Zach Chapman. Remember, he was starting near the end of the order right now. This is the 72 diving down. Oh, just caught the inside wall and spun it all on his lonesome.
Yeah, he absolutely did. I think he got hit there late at the end. I thought he had saved it. It's very rare to hit that wall like that and spin around without going over.
Yeah, so I'm not sure how much damage that's actually going to give him there, but he may have it reset here. So order up at the top, relatively the same. Chapman, Shrebs, and Clevenger continues to lead, but Snook looking to be on a full charge here.
Absolutely, he's made up a lot of ground here, so he knows that inside lane works. I don't know that he wants to do that right on this restart. He may want to kind of settle in and let the laps wind down here, but again, if guys bottle up on that top lane and just get congested, the inside lane is going to be the fastest way to go, and he knew that, and he used it to his advantage, and it's moved him way up the field here.
Yeah, and we saw Wineland try to fight back a little bit on that and throw a slider of his own, but just not able to get the full crossover. So kudos there to Lane Snook, up 3 positions on the day. Pace truck lights are still on. I think we've got one more lap of green. We are working on lap 12 right now, so definitely about over halfway here. These laps are just absolutely ticking by, JR.
It's extremely fast, and these are the slower sprints, so later tonight's going to be even faster. But yeah, these guys are doing a great job. We anticipated some cautions, and we've had some, but not really had anything major going yet.
No, nothing major, nothing really season-ending for a lot of these drivers thus far, but all eyes are going to go back onto Blake Chapman, trying to defend and take victory from victory here in the 305 Sprint Series. Pace truck pulls off. Control goes to Chapman. He's on it early. Gets a pretty good jump on the field. Trevis is there, but it looks like that there's another good jump from Lane Snook coming up behind him. He has got his eyes down to the inside of that 78 of Clevenger. Can he get the run off the line? Little bit of wheel banging.
Absolutely. Clevenger was kind of expecting that early on. Wasn't able to hold him off. Big contact.
Oh, and that is Snook around Clevenger, trying to hold on to that car the best that he can. Clevenger can't do it. That's Clevenger, and I believe it looks like Boydell that got caught up in it.
That was a big mess, and it's easy to do. Once these cars make contact wheel to wheel, you never know where the car is going to go after that, and we had chaos.
Absolute chaos there, as that's going to reset just about everything. Excuse me, I think that was maybe Everston that got caught out, and Boydell does look down the field as well. So a lot of drivers who had to check up. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Big kerfluffle out on track, JR.
Yeah, this has changed the big picture for the end of the race for sure. Top two still Chapman and Shrevs, but it's going to give some guys opportunities that weren't necessarily contending for the win. If the top two guys get to racing really hard, we could see a new winner here.
Well, we've seen Wineland look pretty good. I mean, obviously some heads-up play to be battling there with Lane Snook the way that he was. I'm also biased, but I've got to keep my eye on Vickery as well. He may be one to keep an eye on, keep a little bit forward as well. So we'll have to see what they do here. Pace lights are, I believe, still on, so we should have one more lap. We'll restart here on lap 14, so 7 laps to go once we get going green once again. Yeah, pace truck lights are still on, so one more lap of caution.
Yep, one more time for these guys to kind of think about what they need to do on this restart. On the last one, the top two guys got a jump and pulled away, gave themselves a comfortable spot going into turn one. So yeah, third and fourth place, they're going to have to pay attention to hear what's going on and think about what's going on so far in the first 15 laps so they can try to set up a pass.
Well, it looks like that slider line is one of the best ways to get that pass done and dusted. A lot of drivers. Donovan Ross, I just looking at my timing and scoring, is up 9 positions, although the biggest mover of the day is Nick Schell, who's up 10 into P8, so some great movers and shakers there through the field. But we've got to focus back in on these leaders once again. Ooh, Shrevs looking a little bit angsty on the outside, but that's another good start from Chapman. Wineland looks like he got a good start as well. He may be challenging for P2, but keep an eye on Nick Vickery there behind Tim as he tries to make the move in to get into that final podium spot.
Absolutely. He's working on a run here, trying to set it up. I think he's going to have to make the run coming off of turn 2 in order to get that pass completed.
I think he is too as well. We continue to stay under. Wow! Let's be right on board with Vickery. He's really trying to push that high line. Now dives down low. Here comes the slider potentially. And indeed, there's the slide shot from Nick Vickery. Can Wineland catch him over and cross him back? Yes, he can!
Absolutely great racing by these guys. Very, very clean. Back behind them, Ross and Patton, they're trying to close in, but they've got a race of their own going on.
And we've got another yellow flag out on track. I see Shell falling down the order, but I'm not entirely sure who it was. This may be Austin Martin. Marlett. This was mired down in the middle of the field. Marlett bringing that car wide, catching the outside fence. Oh, and he almost went off and for a ride in the stands.
Yeah, that's tough. Turn 4 tightens up off of there. He just got a little bit too high in the end of the slick stuff and just could not save it. Got the tires into the wall and away he went.
All right, so we'll restart here with 4 laps to go in this feature race. 4 laps to get it done. Chapman and Shrevis continue to lead Wineland, but Vickery, Ross, that battle for P3, Wineland, Vickery, and Ross, that's where we really saw some of that great, good action. That's where I'm going to have my eyes on when we get this restart going, JR.
Yeah, and it should be. So the top 2 guys, they're kind of able to get their runs going on the start and break away, but 3rd, 4th, and 5th, they don't always leave exactly when the leader does. So they kind of bottle up a little bit, pack themselves up, and that gives those guys opportunities going into turn 1 and then down the back stretch to try to make passes.
Yeah, indeed. And it seems like that the restart line, the best way to go is that high line. Do you anticipate any changes in that whatsoever?
I think you're definitely going to want to launch in the high line. That's where the most grip is right now for the rear tires. These cars don't get a whole lot of tire spin being the 305s, but I think you're going to want to launch from the top side. And if you can, go from the top immediately down to the bottom on the front stretch. Try to make up some time on the guy in front of you.
Well, that may be the way to go. Keeping an eye on the iRacing pace truck here, I think. Yeah, those lights are off, so we are ready to go green here. 4 laps to go. 3 when they'll cross over on the stripe as we get ready. A shootout here, ready to decide the victor of the 2nd round of the Hometown Heroes Series presented by Icon Sports. Here we go. There it is. Chapman getting the launch, and it's another good battle. Here comes Vickery trying to challenge around, but that's Patton and Ross that are trying to make things a little bit interesting there. We're almost 3 wide back there for P4.
Absolutely. Vickery had a good run there, kind of got the door shut on him, and that opened up opportunities for Wineland and the guys behind him there.
And Donovan Ross now up at 10, 11 positions. He keeps swapping back and forth. That's Ross in the 5 down on the super low side. He's able to move it back in and get a great run. Vickery trying to get something on Wineland. Wineland throwing a slider there. Not going to work out. Donovan Ross making that low line work to perfection. His white flag is out for Blake Chapman. Randy Shrevs able to cross over the line. That's not a good move there for Nick Vickery. He may lose out even more to Patton and McCarran. And indeed he does. That's Vickery sliding up into the air, but it's not going to matter because we were on the white flag. Blake Chapman comes to the line to take victory. Randy Shrevs in 2nd and Donovan Ross with the run of the night up into P3.
Absolutely amazing by Donovan Ross there. He found the lane that nobody was using and he worked it to perfection, gained a lot of spots there, came home 3rd.
Hoi, oi, oi, an absolutely incredible run from Donovan Ross. I've got to give him massive, massive kudos. Let's run you through that finishing order here before we go to break, and then we'll come back with some quick interviews, as it were. Blake Chapman able to take victory, as we said. Randy Shrevs, then Donovan Ross, Taylor Wineland, and Andy Patton rounding out your top 5. Jamie McCarran was in P6, followed by Brian Moore with Nathan Aldrich and Nick Schell in 9th. Jeffrey Kemper was P10, followed by Joe Canellis and Lane Snook in 12th.
Yep, and 13th would be Roger Craig. 14th was Brandon Templeton. 15th was Dean Reynolds. 16th goes to G.J. Boydell. 17th is Mike Cranmer. 18th going to Kyle Parker. 19th goes home to John Rayner Jr. 20th, Nick Vickery. 21st, Austin Marlett. 22nd, Jack Clevenger. Bob Everson comes home in 23rd, and rounding out the field in 24th is Zach Chapman.
Indeed it is, and we've actually got some drivers here ready for the interview, and we're going to start off with our winner in tonight's race. That is Blake Chapman. And Blake, an incredible run for you out there. Really, really dominant once again. These 305s just looking like they're your friends.
Yeah, I think I found a pretty fast line here. It worked for me last week, worked for me in the matinee today, and I stuck with it all night long tonight, and it seemed to work out just fine for me.
Well, obviously, I don't want you to give too many secrets away, but is it just line picking, or are you doing something out there that's making you faster than everybody? Because this is 2 successive wins in the 305s on the trot.
Yeah, I'm not sure what everybody else is doing, where they're running at, where they have their wing at, which can be pretty important too. But I'm just running that same line that I have for a while, and that's up top, not coming in too high, kind of sliding up to the top, and it doesn't matter how slick it is, really. It's been working for me.
Well, clearly working for you well, my friend. Were you ever really threatened there from behind? I mean, it looked like Randy gave you a couple of good runs, but you were just able to get the power down off the restart and power away.
Yeah, Randy, I was checking the lap times and he was creeping up on me a little bit before a caution came out. So I just drove the car in a little bit harder, didn't change the line too much, and I was able to pull away from him. It would have been interesting, though, if we didn't see any cautions there at the end. He might have had something for me, but the cautions flew, and I guess it kind of helped me a little bit.
Anybody you would like to thank for the second consecutive victory here in the 305s?
Yeah, all the guys and sponsors over at Vanderpool Racing. Couldn't do it without them. I got to thank my parents and grandparents, the sister, everybody who watches and supports. Steve Bixler for getting me into this league. I got to thank the league for putting this on, and you guys for broadcasting it.
Well, we are more than happy to do it. Thank you so much. That was Blake Chapman, your victor here today. And now, JR, I believe you've caught up with Randy Strevis, our second place driver.
Absolutely, DJ. Randy, great run tonight in the 305s here. Did you have anything for Blake there? It looked like you guys are pretty equal and pretty well running that middle to high line most of the night. Yeah,
Blake's always fast. I was keeping up with him. I just on them restarts, he just kept getting better restarts than me. That's pretty much what it was all about tonight.
Absolutely, looked like it was, and both of you guys kind of jumped away from the rest of the field on those restarts. Did a great job. Moving forward, is there anything line-wise that you can do, or do you think it's just going to predominantly be up top most of the night?
That slider line was coming in pretty good there at the end. But you never know with this track. Sometimes it's high side, sometimes it's low side, and other times you just gotta find it.
Absolutely, it absolutely changes quick for sure. From my experience out on Volusia, again, great run tonight. Anybody that you want to thank for that run?
Thank you. Yes, definitely want to thank my team, LGR Motorsports, ABR Setup Shop, Redline Race Designs, One Wish Foundation, Wraps and Stitches, KSB Builders, Finish Line Repair, CD Cinematography, Coast to Coast for putting on this awesome league, and you guys for doing an awesome broadcast.
Awesome job getting everybody in there, Randy. We appreciate you talking with us. Thank you for that. And again, good run. DJ, I think you're going to catch up with Donovan Ross, our third place finisher tonight.
Our third place finisher and hard charger on the day, Donovan Ross. What were you doing out there, my friend? It looks like you were making passes left, right, and center.
I just holding on. Thanks for having me. It's dusty up top, and everybody's kind of following the leader and starting back where I did. I just thought kind of ride around for a little bit and then go to the bottom and see if we could make that work. And it seemed to work pretty good if you could, slow your entry down enough to get a good drive off is what was happening there.
Well, it certainly did look like it worked out well for you. And, how did you think coming into the feature here, obviously starting as far down, were you having sights set on the podium, or was this just kind of I got a car, I'm going to run with it?
Well, I don't know. You just go as hard as you can, and some days you're the bug, some days you're the window. I've been the bug lately, so it's kind of fun to get out there and roll forward a little bit. So it's a good run.
Are you going to be the window here a little bit more going forward? Are you starting to set your eyes a little bit on some championship stuff, or is this going to be a situation where you're taking a look at that?
No, it's hard for most of the guys on my team where we work so much, at work during the summer that it takes us a while to get rolling in the winter, and we end up being fairly competitive. I've never considered myself a championship chaser. I'd just like to run hard and see how the cards fall.
Well, we'll see how they fall for you next week, my friend, and best of luck to you. But anybody you'd like to thank for this third place run tonight?
Yeah, the Rudine SRC guys, Brian Senior, Jack, Keith when he's around, everybody that's around. And how about a happy birthday to Scotty, or not Scotty, I'm sorry, I'm doing two things at once. Happy birthday to Roger.
Well, happy birthday to him indeed, and thank you again, and congratulations on that third place run.
Yeah, we'll talk to you guys after a while.
All right, that was Donovan Ross, your third place finisher here in the 305 series, but do not go anywhere. We have got more dirt racing action lined up for you here on the Virtual Grip and Coast to Coast networks as we have the Icon Sim Sports 360 series coming up right after this break.
Coolray has always been a leader in our industry.
The lifetime parts and labor warranty is pretty awesome. Basically, all the parts are covered, the labor and everything.
When we say lifetime, we mean lifetime, and it's supported with money-back guarantees. And with that, you're getting all qualified technicians that are going to ensure that this job is done perfectly and operates perfectly throughout the life of the unit.
Learn more about our Coolray lifetime parts and labor warranty at Coolray.com. Coolray and Carrier. Turn to the experts.
Welcome Back to the Coast to Coast Racing League. We are getting ready for the Icon Sim Sports 360 Sprint Series. And JR, we've got some bigger cars, some bigger engines on the same track. What can we expect here once we get racing in this 360 series?
Going to see a lot more action, I believe. So you got around 260 more horsepower in these cars. Throttle control is going to come into play. No more wide open around the track. It's going to open up the lines, I think. So that line going from the top through turns 1 and 2 down to the bottom on the backstretch and trying to make a slide job into 3 is going to come into play more and more, I believe. These guys are going to get more and more runs from that top side, so it should put on a lot of racing here.
Well, a lot of racing. Do you think qualifying is going to be nearly as important, because we saw just how crucial it was last time to qualify well, with the exception, obviously, of our third place finisher. But how well do you think it's going to be important to qualify here, and how much more racy do you think it can get?
It's definitely going to get racier than what we saw, but qualifying is always important, especially for a shorter race like this. We've got 25 laps in the A main, so you definitely want to get a good lap in qualifying, finish up front in your heat, so you have that starting spot. But as far as being able to come from the back and have a potential top 3 spot, I think that can be done also, because these cars are more reliant on the driver being able to use that throttle and work his way around the track as the lanes change.
Indeed. Well, we'd like to thank SBGC 3D Printing here as we run through our pre-race show, and we'd like to bring you the championship standings here for this Icon Sim Sports 360 Sprint Series, provided by iRacing League Manager. As we said last time out, Lane Snook took victory here, able to get that victory ahead of Blake Chapman, so he currently leads the championship there. You can see it there on your screen by 4 points. 3-point lead there over Patrick Spangler. Obviously, everything very, very close, because we've only been able to win one series here, but these championships again presented by iRacing League Manager, as we watch drivers out on track right now for practice, just waiting for that practice session to tick over. And obviously, JR, one of the other things here for the drivers is the more power means there's going to be a lot more slicking away at this track.
It absolutely will. So track state's kind of been reset, I believe, back to 15% as we start practice here. But as we get more and more cars on the track, that is going to move around for sure. So we're going to see the lanes change very, very quick. These cars have more horsepower, more torque. They're going to throw up more dirt and move that groove around.
And we'll have to keep an eye on where that groove moves to, because we are about ready to go qualifying here in the Pitside Podcast qualifying session. Drivers get 2 laps around here. It will be a solo qualifying session, so we'll have to keep an eye on who is quick. Noah Campbell looks like he is one of the first cars out on track. Christopher Buell behind him. Bob Good, Patrick Spangler, Preston Kramer. We're seeing a lot of those drivers getting there and out. It's going to be quick, and as you can already tell, JR, these cars are a lot faster than their 305 counterparts.
Absolutely, and I think because of that, you're going to see more of a slider line as we go forward into this feature race. So you may see guys enter low, slide up high, just like we're seeing on screen now.
Yeah, exactly. That may be the way that they've got to get going out around here. Waiting for some more times to come in. Blake Chapman currently on the top. Kevin Fry in P2. Bob DeGood, third. Preston Kramer, Jamie McCarran, Patrick Spangler, Donovan Ross, Andy Patton, Randy Shrebs, Joe Canellis, and Dustin is your top 10 as of right now. Looking for anybody else out on track to see what we've got. Nick Vickery out there going around right now, our in-race reporter. We're going to wait for him to get finished up before we go to him for our talking through. But there you can see everybody running their lines, doing a good job trying to see what they can get going. Not seeing Tyler Wilson able to bump his way up into P1, so a change in the order up at top. Nick Vickery able to put in a best time of P10. And Nick, what can you tell us about what this track is doing?
Yeah, so the track's switching over to 15% again. It's pretty much the same track state as in the 305s, but you have to drive these cars a lot different. In the 305s, you don't really get sideways getting in the corner, even if you do run through the slick part right here in the middle of the corner. But in the 360s, you most certainly will. And as far as what you'll see, going into the heat races and going into the feature, I think you'll see guys run the bottom, but I think you'll see the line on the track move way up against the wall. I know last week we we made it all the way up to the wall, and we even saw the wall kind of grab a couple cars and end a few nights. So I think you'll see a different variant of racing. It'll be a lot faster than the 305s, and not so dependent on the momentum, because you've got a little bit more power.
Hey, Nick, you talked about the wing position in the 305s a little bit earlier. How much does that come into play with the 360s? More important, less important, or just kind of put it and drive the track?
Yeah, I think it plays a little more into the 360s, because with the added power, you don't want to get the car too sideways, and you do have the power to kind of pull away. Whereas in the 305s, if the wing's too far back, you're kind of cutting time directly off your lap time, because you don't have the momentum to drive away.
Well, there you heard it from Nick Vickery, our in-race reporter. Thank you so much, Nick. We always appreciate it. But now we are ready to get going here in our first heat race of the night, presented by the Lucas Oil Empire Super Sprint Series. Lining up in pole position, it is going to be Dustin Sargent, followed by our very own Nick Vickery, with Preston Cranmer and Tyler Wilson, your top four.
In fifth, we got Phil Miller. Sixth place going to be Jeffrey Kemper. Seventh going to Noah Campbell. And starting in eighth will be Daniel Vaught tonight.
And again, same format as last time. It's going to be the top four drivers advancing, and those top four are inverted here. So that is going to change things up just a little bit. Vickery starting off in P2. Obviously, JR, we're a little bit biased, but I love seeing one of our very own here on VGN and the Coast to Coast networks working their way up into those transfer spots.
Absolutely, and we've heard from Nick. We've heard what we think the track's going to do. Be interesting to see how it plays out here and watch its progress.
Exactly. Just waiting, I think, there for Vaught to be the final car to get onto the grid here. Not sure if he's going to make it or not. There he is. All right, we are ready to go and ready to get racing. We'll have 2 laps of pacing around here as we see what will happen with these drivers. As we've heard, JR, it's going to be a lot more quick, a lot more engaging, let's say, with these 360s. It's going to be a whole lot of fun once they get under green.
It will, for sure. Things are going to happen fast. You're going to have to make moves and decisions quicker than what you did in the 305s. But, I mean, these guys know what they're doing. You can see it during their qualifying laps. Everybody's extremely close. Not something you always see in the 360. So it's a good field here we got here.
Yeah, it's a great field. And again, this first heat race presented by the Lucas Oil Empire Super Sprint Series. So very excited to see everything going. JR, do you think that high line is going to be as effective as a starting line as we saw in the previous races? Because in the 305, that was the way to go.
I think you're still going to have to get a good start, and I think the outside is the way to do that as far as traction going. These cars are going to have more wheel spin. There's a lot of moisture up there up top, so I think getting started, the top's definitely where you want to go, but you may want to quickly get down low going in turn 1 just to make sure you close off any advances from behind.
Well, we'll have to keep an eye to see if anybody does decide to do that as we get ready here for that pace truck to pull off into the inside. Waiting for it as always, just waiting. And there it goes. Control the field goes to Sargent, waiting for the green flag. There it is a little bit later, but it's a mega start from Vickery. He's able to get the move to the outside. Cuts it down low. Contact in the back. Couple of cars nearly sideways, but able to catch. That's Vaught and Campbell, and I think somebody's flipping.
Yeah, big mess going into one there. Nobody went over. Staying green here. Racing up front. We still got Vickery out front. Sargent trying to close back in, and Cranmer also trying to join the party there.
Indeed, Cranmer trying to join it in a little bit well, but it continues to be Vickery leading. Sargent trying to close inbound behind. Cranmer trying to get in there. Miller holds on to that 4th and final transfer spot with Kemper closing in close on his behind. We work on lap 3 right now. Vickery looking very, very solid up front. A little bit lower of a line there from Sargent as they come through 3 and 4. They work their way out on lap 4 right now, and now Sargent tries to go for a lower line.
Yep, definitely top 3. They've pulled away a little bit from the rest of the field. They know they're locked in as long as they don't do anything crazy here. So searching around is what you need to do. Find out what the track's got in it, what your car is doing.
Yeah, JR, I'm a little bit surprised with that big incident that we didn't see a little bit more flipping. Obviously, a little bit more power comes a little bit more craziness when we get on to all of this. But it continues to be Vickery leading from Sargent to the tune of about 2.5, 3 car lengths as they work their way around Sargent, just trying to find something, anything for that 0-0 machine.
Yep, and this is kind of what I expected. The heats to be a little bit milder in these cars at first. They've got to get the track worked in. Once they do that, the feature race is going to open up the possibility of where you can run around on the track. A little bit of contact there with Kramer.
Sargent. That is Sargent up and into the wall, and that's going to put him down and out of the transfer position. So some late lap drama going on here. That's going to promote Wilson up into that final transfer position. Tyler Wilson, that is. So here it comes. We are on the white flag lap. It is going to be Nick Vickery who takes victory here in heat number 1, followed by Cranmer, Miller, and Wilson automatically transferring. Sargent, the absolute heartbreak of the race. He just misses out in P5.
Yeah, that is definitely a heartbreak. As a driver, you hate when stuff like that happens. You just got a little bit too high on the backstretch. There's a reward for doing that, but when you touch the wall, it was over for him.
So as we said, Nick Vickery, Preston Cranmer, Field Miller, and Tyler Wilson automatically transferring. Dustin Sargent, Jeffrey Kemper, Daniel Vaught not able to make it. But we get ready for the second heat race out here today, presented by the Super Dirt Car Series. And lining up in pole position to that, it is Brian Moore Sr., followed by Taylor Wineland with Jamie McCarron in third and Blake Chapman in fourth.
5th place will be Jeff Barker. 6th place goes to Gary Taylor, and starting in 7th will be Nathan Aldridge.
Well, when we saw there a really remarkable start in that last race out of Nick Vickery, being able to make that high line work to perfection in the early stages of the race and just absolutely hold it down, JR. So I've got to be thinking a little bit more here of Taylor Wineland may be in the ideal position starting on the outside of Brian Moore Sr.
Yeah, absolutely, and I don't think you necessarily have to be the guy that goes first. I think you just have that much more grip on the outside that you can get your momentum going before you get to turn 1 and carry that through turns 1 and 2.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what they do as we get ready. 1 lap to go. The field forming up behind him. Obviously, Blake Chapman, one of the names to keep an eye out for. He'll be starting in the 4th place position. That spots the final transfer position, but he is reserved because of the top 4 inverting. He was the fastest out of these 7 drivers out there. So, but control of the field over to Brian Moore Sr. right now, waiting for the green flag to fly and that iRacing pace truck to get off to the side. As we wait here, and Wineland starting to get a little bit advancing. There's the green flag. It's a much better start to the inside for Bob Moore Sr. And McCarron's going to get a good run down to the inside, trying to make that high line work now. Is Taylor Wineland. Wineland and McCarron going to be duking it out. Almost 3 wide. There's that Chapman trying to make things interesting. He's going to go low.
Absolutely. Almost makes it work. McCarron's holding on to 2nd at the moment. I think he's going to have the momentum off of turn 2. But no, Chapman got the 2nd spot.
Oh, and that was contact with Wineland. Wineland all the way around. Chapman now able to move his way up into 2nd. That promotes McCarron into 3rd. And that is Taylor. That is Gary Taylor up into that 4th and final transfer position. As now Blake Chapman starts to work his way forward on Brian Moore Sr. He's going to go super high here, seeing if he can move into that 1st spot.
Absolutely. Top 2 pulled away here. They're going to try to search around, see if they can make something happen. They know they're going to be locked in. The battle's going to be for that 4th spot as it kind of tightens up in the back there.
Yeah, it certainly does. Wineland trying to cave him back in a little bit more, but I don't know if he's got it. We're going to keep our eyes focused here on this battle between Brian Moore Sr. and Blake Chapman. Chapman looking like he's closing in all the time. The gap is down to about a car length. I'd say that's about 3 car lengths there as they work their way through 3 and 4. Whoa, we've got that battle really starting to shape up for P3.
Absolutely. Taylor's kind of looking around. He knows he's got people attacking him from behind. At the same time, he's trying to get around McCarron. Yep, got a pass here going for 4th.
Wineland with a little bit of a slide job line, and that's going to move him back into the final transfer position. He'll be very, very happy about that, but there comes Barker. That's Jeff Barker trying to make it work here on Gary Taylor as well. We've also got a pass for the lead up front as Blake Chapman has been able to get into the lead.
Yep, continued great racing here for the transfer spot. We see Wineland and Taylor. They're going to be racing each other pretty hard here to try to get that 4th spot. Wineland looks like he's pulling away slightly.
We've got to focus back up front because leaders have taken the white flag, and there's the checkered. Blake Chapman takes victory with more behind him. McCarron and Wineland with the fight back of the millennium, able to get his way back into that final transfer spot after suffering some pretty heavy contact. There you can see the final finishing order. Blake Chapman, Brian Moore Sr., Jamie McCarron, Taylor Wineland advancing, Gary Taylor, Jeff Barker, and Nathan Aldrich having to go back to the B main.
Yep, and obviously we didn't see the pass for the lead there, but Blake Chapman set up that pass. He found out what he needed to do, and he's going to pay dividends later on.
Indeed it is, as we get ready for the third heat race here, presented by the World of Sports podcast. GJ Boydell, the Canadian, will be lining up in P1, followed by Randy Schrebs with Patrick Spengler and Kevin Fry in P4.
Yep, P5 will go to Matt Kramer, and P6 will be Dean Reynolds. Rounding out your field in 7th will be John Rayner Jr.
So we didn't exactly see the jump on the outside line that we've seen from pretty much every other race, but certainly some more slicing and dicing all the way up through the field, just as you predicted, JR.
Yeah, this track's going to continue to get more and more racy as we go through these heats and then into the B main and the feature. So this is going to be an exciting race, I think, for sure. It's going to be tough, though, because these guys are going to have to pay attention to what's going around. Things happen fast in these cars, and you don't have to just pay attention to the guy you're racing in front of you. You got to pay attention to what's going on behind you, too, or you could end up with some incidental contact and injure not.
And how do you really account for that as you are driving around? I mean, that's got to be such a difficult thing to be looking ahead and behind when you're coming around this fast on such a short circuit.
It absolutely is. Dirt racing, you have to be able to use your eyes to their full extent. So you're looking forward, but you're also looking out of the corner of your eyes into the mirror, trying to see where guys are, and you got to be looking for that glimpse of somebody trying to make a move on you.
You really do. Here as GJ Boydell is going to be bringing this field to green, waiting for that flag to fly, and there it is. Looks like a much better start for Strevis, and he's going to bring along Kevin Fry with him along the outside as we're racing here in this third heat race presented by the World of Sports podcast. Single file four now as they work their way on the backstretch. Strevis, Fry, Boydell, and Reynolds.
Yep, Boydell losing out on the start there, but he's kind of said, "Oh, we've got a wreck."
Big contact there. Cranmer and Ranner really getting into each other, but Strevis continues to lead. Reynolds under a lot of pressure here from Patrick Spengler. Spengler looking down to the inside in that yellow and black sprinter right there. Throws the slide job, and it doesn't look quite like Reynolds is able to fight back. I lied. He's going to try to.
Yep. So like we've seen in the other heat races, something happens, the guys up front get spread out, and we get some great racing, guys searching around on the track, finding what works and what doesn't work.
Well, and that accident is really spread out this field as Randy Strevis, Patrick Spengler, Dean Reynolds, and GJ Boydell all kind of running in a league unto themselves, and Kevin Fry behind them doing the same thing, JR.
Yep, absolutely. And these top four, they know if they don't do anything crazy, they're going to transfer, but they're going to search around. They want to see where that grip is. They're going to be looking at their lap time, seeing what works and what doesn't work, because you've got to have that information moving forward.
Yeah, you really and truly do. So this becomes a little bit more of an exploratory session here, but obviously not wanting to make too many mistakes. We see that groove continuing to move up the track, as was proved out last week. That cushion's just going to continue to ride up. There you can see it through 1 and 2 on the exit, especially really starting to get high. Drivers have to be careful as well, because coming out of 3 and 4, that thing can get real bumpy.
Absolutely, it's moving up and up, and one thing you don't want to do is put that right rear tire over that cushion. If you do, you may get into the wall, so got to pay attention to that. 4th place closing up a little bit.
But it's the checkered flag out on track for Randy Strevis. He's able to take victory over Patrick Spengler with Dean Reynolds and GJ Boydell automatically advancing here into the A main. Obviously, Cranmer and Rayner having some big problems there to put them well down the order, but Kevin Fry, the other driver, not able to advance. He will go directly to the B main. There you can see the finishing order on your screen there in this third heat race presented by the World of Sports podcast. As we get ready for the 4th heat race, this one presented by Gambler Motorsports. And in that, it will be Lane Snook lining up in P1, followed by Joe Canellis with Donovan Ross and Kyle Moonen in 4th.
In 5th place, we have Austin Marlett. 6th place is going to Barry Goldner. And then 7th will be Christopher Buell.
This track, JR, certainly looks like it's getting faster, it's getting slicker, and most importantly, it really looks like it's starting to get racier.
It absolutely is widening out more and more, but that's also, the wider that track gets, the easier it's going to be to do a slider move on somebody that you're trying to pass if you have the inside advantage. So it's going to continue to get better and better, but also as that cushion moves up the track, like I said, if you just overstep it a little bit, you're going to be in trouble, and the places to do that would be off of turn 2 and off of turn 4, and we've seen carnage on the backstretch earlier tonight, so it's going to be very easy to overstep. These guys have to pay attention to that.
Yeah, indeed they will. And now, if I'm the rest of this field, I'm a little bit worried. Lane Snook, the winner from last week's race, he is starting out in pole position. Obviously, those top 4 inverted, but nevertheless, Snook, a very, very fierce competitor for the Vanderbilt racing team. So that 1, 2, 3, he is going to one to watch for.
Absolutely. You give somebody like that track position, and it's going to be hard to get it back. So I think he's going to be looking to get a good jump here. He's going to have to do like we saw in the earlier heat race, where the pole sitter kind of gets a lower lane coming to the green. I think there's a little bit of grip down, a little bit lower on the track. You want to kind of stay out of the slick stuff in the middle.
Stay out of the slick stuff in the middle, but we've got to watch out to see what he does. Looks like he's choosing for a little bit of a higher lane there, trying to go for something. Pace truck pulls out, waiting for Buddy to wave the green flag, and there it is. A great start for Lane Snook. That's going to bring Ross along with him. Donovan Ross able to make a good move there. Canellis shuffled back to third place. Moonen trying to see what he can do. It's 1, 2, 3, 4 there as they go down the backstretch for the first time, and that is going to be Joe Canellis trying to take a little bit of a look. Kyle Moonen now going to take a look to the inside here, diving it down. He's trying for a little bit of a slider, but he's not going to be able to make the slide job work, but he is at least going to be able to be alongside him, Joe Canellis.
Almost making contact through 3 and 4 there. Tight racing. These guys are really showing what these cars are capable of, side by side. He's trying to do the slide job. He might just get it here.
Put a piece of paper in between those two cars. Kyle Moonen able to get a great slider on Joe Canellis. Canellis, who's having a very bad start to the race. He started off in second and has fallen all the way down the order. Keep your eye here on Kyle Moonen, because he's starting to close in on Donovan Ross as well. A lot of pace here in that 24 machine.
Absolutely. Moonen's got a good car. He knows where the track is at the moment for speed, and he has closed in big time on Ross. So look for him to make a move in the next lap.
Indeed, the Ohioan working down a little bit lower. Donovan Ross not able to get anything done there, but now as they cross over the start-finish line, he tries to get it a little bit more pace. They're working lap 6 right now of this 4th heat race. Seeing what he can do is Kyle Moonen. Moonen right up behind, almost nothing in between them there, goes for a lower line out of turn 4 as they cross the line here on the penultimate lap. Here's the slider, he gets it done. Does Ross have anything to fight back with?
He's trying to cross him over going into 3, gets into the low lane. I think Moonen's going to hold him off coming off of turn 4 with that grip on the outside.
Indeed he is. That is Kyle Moonen up 2 positions on the day to come home in P2. He is in second, but the leader right now, Lane Snook, comes through turns 3 and 4 for the final time in this heat race. That is going to be Lane Snook taking victory. Kyle Moonen with an inspired drive to move his way up forward. Donovan Ross and Joe Canellis rounding out your transfer positions.
Yeah, great racing there. These guys really put on a show. Really tight racing, almost contact several times, but these guys pulled it off.
Pulled it off incredibly well there. You can see those top 4 that automatically advance. Barry Goldner, Austin Marlett, and Christopher Buell all having to fight their way out for the B main. And that B main, well, it will be coming here shortly, I believe, JR, as we get ready to line up here for that B main. Let's bring up that qualifying order. This is, it's the 5th heat. My bad. We've got 5 heats out here. So this is the Can-Am Racing Team presenting the 5th heat race. Jack Clevenger is going to be starting off in pole position, followed by Kyle Parker with Andy Patton and Bob DeGood in 4th.
Yep, Zach Chapman will be in 5th, looking to gain some ground from his heats earlier. We've got Roger Craig in 6th, and Nick Shell being in 7th, rounding out the field.
Exactly. And so with 5 heats out here, what this is going to do is this is going to present up a very, very narrow situation in the B main with only 4 cars advancing. So it is all the more crucial here in this 5th and final heat race that you finish in the top transfer positions, because if you finish in the bottom 3 here, you'll be starting well down the order in that B main.
Absolutely, and that is not a place at all that you want to be, especially if you've got some speed tonight, because it's going to be very hard to overcome. Even though we've got multi-groove racing going here, it's just way too many cars to try to pass and get up there.
Yeah, far, far too many cars, but eyes are going to go here to the 78 machine and Jack Clevenger, as he will have that low line here. Lights out on the iRacing pace truck, so just waiting for the green flag to fly and the pace truck to pull off. There it goes, pulling off, and there goes the green flag. We're racing. It's a pretty good start from Clevenger. That's Kyle Parker, who's ever going to better start on the high side. Oh, we've already got contact in the back. 2 cars flipping around.
Yep, absolutely. Those are the guys that are going to end up getting knocked out here.
It looked like the 25 there that was involved in it. Let's see exactly what happened here. A little bit of bumping and banging right there, and then just, oh, that is Roger Craig there, who is taken out, one of the series organizers, so that's very disappointing there for him. But as we go back to a live picture here, waiting for that to come in, it continues to be Jack Clevenger leading the race, Kyle Parker behind him, and then it is Andy Patton and Zach Chapman in the final transfer position.
Yep, these guys kind of single filing out. Like we see, we have contact early. They kind of single file out. These guys are going to start setting up each other, figuring out where they need to be for those closing laps of this race.
Yeah, indeed they are. No real position changes out on track, as it does look like Kyle Parker starting to close in a little bit, but as they get onto the straightaway, separates out more, but that's going to allow for a little bit of close racing between Parker and Patton. Patton looking like he's going to be able to close in behind as we cross over to start working lap 6 here at Volusia.
Yep, Patton's kind of working over Parker, seeing where his weakness is at the moment. I think he's going to try to make a run. You saw Parker get a little high off at 2 there.
Yeah, very, very high. That groove really starting to move up the track. Drivers are going to have to be very careful about that. You can see how little space there is, but that's going to be Patton working his way up to the high side. I think that was Chapman all the way down there working low, trying to see if there was anything going, and now it's going to be Patton trying low here to see if there's anything. Love that onboard shot. You can hear the throttle control as we only have 1 lap here to go for Jack Clevenger. Clevenger going to bring the car through 3 and 4 for the final time. Patton trying one last move to get around Parker, but it's not going to work. Clevenger takes the victory from Kyle Parker. Andy Patton behind him, and Zach Chapman coming home P4.
Yep, another good race. These guys kind of single filed out with the action that happened early, but they were able to get a lot of experience, find out what they need to do as they move forward into that A main tonight.
Indeed, and there are those final results. Nick Schell, Roger Craig, and Bob DeGood, the drivers that are going to have to make their way into the B main. And with that B main, we are now officially ready to get going in this B main presented by Chip Bangers Racing. Dustin Sargent will be lining up in pole position, followed by Gary Taylor with Kevin Fry in P3 and Barry Goldner in P4. Nick Schell will be P5, followed by Jeffrey Kemper with Jeff Barker in 7th and Mike Cranmer in 8th.
Starting in 9th, we have Austin Marlett. 10th will be Roger Craig, trying to overcome the incident that we just saw earlier. 11th place got Daniel Vaught. 12th is Nathan Aldridge. 13th, John Rayner Jr. 14th, Christopher Buell. 15th will be Bob DeGood. And in 16th place, we have Noah Campbell.
All right, so this is the most times we have seen, the most cars we have seen out on track. There we go. I know how to use the English language as we wait for all of them to get going. Anything you have to be particularly mindful of here when you get this many drivers running on a track like this, JR?
Yeah, it's going to get congested quick. Earlier in the races in 305s, we said if the guys get congested up top, kind of packed in together, the bottom's going to be the place to go. That can be the same thing here, and it's not just being congested. These cars, the way they maneuver, everything happens very, very quick. There could be more than congestion. We can have contact on the top side, so you may see some guys jumping low early, trying to make sure that they get that open space and just keep themselves clear of anything that's going on.
Well, that may be what we have have to see here, because getting through is the most important thing. And as I said, it's as we get ready to watch here, Taylor and Sargent being the ones that will lead off in those front two positions. Gary Taylor and Dustin Sargent. I'm going to get those wrong, so apologies already early, waiting for the flag to fly. And there, that car ahead, Taylor trying to fight around him to the outside as everybody filters through. I already see guys around in the back. Looks like Craig and Campbell potentially.
Yep, oh, big contact. A lot of guys getting caught up there. Oh, big wreck and turn through.
Looks like Bob DeGood, Shell, Aldrich, Taylor, all of them caught out for it, so only 11 drivers remaining out on track. We follow here. This is John Rayner Jr. He is fighting right now with Kemper, trying to get that last transfer position. Oh, and contact again!
Around he goes into the inside wall. That will end his night for sure.
Oh, my goodness gracious. All right. So this leaves right now in P3 right now. This is really separated the field as much as possible. Sargent leading from Goldner, Vaught, and Rayner.
Absolutely. Continuing battling here.
All right, here's Sargent.
All right, out front we still have Sargent leading the way. He's pulled out to a hefty lead here. We're going to have Goldner and Vaught fighting for that second spot. Right now, everybody's kind of just single filed out with all of the stuff that has gone on, all of the carnage that we had early on. Everybody's single filed out, just racing here. The fourth spot is going to Rayner at the moment. Barker's trying to close in, but I'm not sure he's going to get there. We only got a couple laps left to go here.
Indeed, as we watch here, Vaught coming around in P3 right now. Only one lap to go here in the books. These top four really, really spread out. Rayner trying to hold off Barker, but even that's a pretty big...
Absolutely, and you see Daniel Vaught here. He's working the bottom. He's trying to learn a lot at the moment right now. So I'm all for what he's doing. Run the bottom, figure out what the car's going to do. May pay big, big dividends in the A main coming up. We're on the last lap here. Sargent's continuing to lead. He is going to come home as the winner. Second place is going to go to Goldner. Vaught will come home third, and the last transfer spot will go to Rayner in fourth. Oh, and we got an incident on the front stretch as we come to the checkered flag there.
Oh, just a little bit of a spin out there, but that is going to wrap up the B main event. Dustin Sargent able to take that victory over Barry Goldner, Daniel Vaught, John Rayner Jr., those cars automatically advancing. Jeff Barker, Christopher Buell, and Kevin Fry in 7th with Roger Craig in P8.
Absolutely. Coming home 9th was Noah Campbell. 10th was Nathan Aldridge. 11th, Bob DeGood. Jeffrey Kemper in 12th. Mike Cranmer came home in 13th. Gary Taylor 14th. Nick Shell in 15th. And rounding out the field in 16th was Austin Marley.
All right, so now we get ready to go here for the A main event. And before we do, we've got a little bit of a warm-up on our hands. So 3 minutes out there, and Nicholas Vickery again joining us as our in-race reporter. Nicholas, this race looks fast, this race looks fierce, but what can you tell us about what's going on track?
Yeah, it's kind of the same situation as in the 305s. You know, the track's widened out a lot, especially for the guys that were in the first heat race. And I don't know, I think you'll see guys running top and bottom. You know, it takes a lot to run the top here, and if you get into the wall, it's extremely unforgiving. So, you know, you either got to send it on the top or have really, really good throttle control on the bottom.
Absolutely, Nick. How's this track changing? Do you think we're going to see some guys try to really work that bottom in this race, or do you think we're just going to have more of the racing up top, people trying to drop low on the backstretch?
Yeah, I think early race you'll see a lot of guys running up top, and then you'll see a few outliers trying to run the bottom. And then I think as the race progresses and the guys on the bottom start to make passes, I think you'll see kind of a lot more guys start to go to the bottom because they're starting to recognize that the bottom's actually pretty fast if you can hit it right. That's at least what we saw last week, and then I think by the end of the feature you're only going to have maybe a handful of guys still running the top. just because it's a lot of risk for the reward that you get for being on the top. Once it gets this high up on the wall, if you make one mistake in 25 laps, your race is pretty much over.
Absolutely. We see some of the lap times people are throwing down here in the warm-up. Snook being the fastest at the moment. But other than that, everybody's pretty well tight here. Nick, we'll let you get back to warm up. Appreciate you talking with us, and good luck in the race, man.
Thanks, guys.
All right, JR. Well, as we see these guys working their way around here, low lines, high lines, all kinds of lines playing their way out, it is going to be one heck of a 25 laps, I have to think.
Absolutely, and this track's continuing to change more and more as these cars go around it. So, I mean, we're seeing guys everywhere on the track right now. It's really going to open up a lot of possibilities. The guys are going to be trying to go 3 wide and make those moves. And when 3 wide happens, it's very easy to make contact. So we'll see how it plays out, but should be some great racing here.
Yeah, it should indeed, and it's something that I'm very much looking forward to. I absolutely love seeing this kind of racing out on track. It is why we come to the dirt race, and we are ready now to go racing here for the A main event in the Icon Sim Sports 360 Sprint Series. As we get ready to take a look at it, it is going to be Nick Vickery lining up on pole position, followed by Blake Chapman with Randy Trevis in P3. Lane Snook will be lining up in P4, followed by Jack Clevenger with Preston Cranmer and Brian Moore Sr. in 7th. Patrick Spangler will be in P8, followed by Kyle Moonen and Kyle Parker with Field Miller and Jamie McCarran in 12th.
And in 13th starting position, we have Dean Reynolds, 14th Donovan Ross, 15th Andy Patton, Tyler Wilson in 16th. 17th, we got Taylor Wineland. 18th goes to GJ Boydell. 19th, Joe Canellis. 20th, Zach Chapman. 21st goes to Dustin Sargent. 22nd, Barry Goldner. 23rd, Daniel Vaught. And rounding out the field in the 24th position is John Rayner Jr. tonight.
It will indeed. So, JR, what are your keys to making it work, getting through these 25 laps, and getting yourself up into the lead of the race?
Well, I really like what Nick said earlier about the bottom being a lane that's coming in a little bit more and more, especially if you know how to run it effectively. So I think early on, if guys all go to the top, you need to drop to the bottom. Try to make up some ground, and you know, as guys get to racing and making some contact, you can pass 2 or 3 cars in one lap. So I'm looking forward to who goes down there first.
Yeah, I am too. That's going to be very, very interesting to see. And I'm also going to keep my eye here on Lane Snook starting off in P3. That's going to be a good spot for him. Same with with Nick Vickery, obviously lining up in pole position. Like we said, we don't like to play favorites, but he's kind of our little bit of a favorite here, being the reporter in booth.
Absolutely, he is, and I'm going to kind of pay attention to Donovan Ross. He's starting back around the 12th, 13th spot. He made up a lot of spots earlier tonight in the 305, so we'll see what he can do also.
Indeed, as we get ready for the iRacing pace truck to pull off here, all eyes going to Barney the flag man, Nick Vickery in pole position. Here it is, and there goes the green, and here comes the thunder. We're racing again in Volusia. It's a good start for Nick Vickery. He keeps it down to the low side, but we're almost 4 wide there for P2 as we immediately have a yellow flag thrown.
Things got wild fast, DJ. Absolutely had a caution early. We'll see what that was about here in the replay.
Yeah, it looks like this is in the back. Taylor Wineland there in that 005 machine. Tries to make a move to the inside. Goes 3 wide there. Big thunk into the wall. Thankfully, just a single car incident, but that is going to bring out the caution early here in the race.
Absolutely. He saw an opportunity and kind of went for it there. But that's one of those things where the guy in front of you doesn't always know where you're positioning yourself. So incidental contact sent him into the outside wall in turn 1.
Indeed, as we get ready to reset here, and remember, caution laps do not count in these feature races, so we will reset back to where we began, I believe. So single file restarts here. That's certainly going to give a little bit more breathing room to Nick Vickery.
Absolutely it will, and that puts everybody in that outside lane going into turn 1. I think you got to be one of the guys going to take a chance, go to the bottom, try to make it work that first lap. see if you can gain some spots.
Exactly. We'll have to see what he chooses here as they get going again. There's that 20 of Blake Chapman, the winner from that last round. Will he be able to do much? Pace truck lights are still on, so one more lap of caution around here before we get back to green.
Absolutely. Everybody just kind of settling in, thinking about what they need to do on this restart. I think you're going to see the top two jump away a little bit, figure out where they want to run their own line. The guys behind third, fourth, fifth, sixth, that's going to be where a lot of stuff's going to be happening.
Yeah, I think that's going to be the area to see especially, and hopefully we're not going to see that big fan out like we saw previously as we get ready to go back. Green flag racing here at Volusia Speedway in this 360 Sprint Series.
Absolutely. Back underway here. Vickery pulls away with Chapman behind him. Got a lot of movement here going around. Shrevis making some runs here, 4-second spot. Absolutely. Almost three wide going into turn one. Chapman trying to take the lead here over Vickery. He's able to do so in 3 and 4. We've got Shrevis trying to hold on to that third spot. He's trying to work that bottom lane a little bit, moving up now. Also, we got Snook joining the battle here.
Snook joining the battle as we get back going there. Snook trying to come back on it a little bit. Not able to do it there. Cranmer, trying to keep it aligned to the outside. Shrevs working his way around. There they go as Snook looks his way down to the inside.
Oh, very, very tight slide job there. Vickery's trying to do the crossover here on him, going back into turn one. He gets the slide job pulled off there. Stays ahead of Shrevis. I believe we got caution on the track.
We do indeed, as Randy Shrevs there, trying to get his way back up in there. Good run for him up into P4 as of right now. Let's check out this replay. This is Brian Moore Sr. there in the back. Whoa, just some incidental contact, and that caused the domino effect there, JR.
Oh, that was ugly. So, yeah, just trying to run that bottom lane. Two guys just got into each other going in there, spun one of them around, and then just kind of blocked the track for everybody else coming in there, and ended the night for several guys for sure.
Yeah, it certainly did. As Chapman obviously able to get a nose ahead of Vickery and be able to take back to that top position. But that big battle we saw in the back there was Snook and Shrevs, and Clevenger starting to poke his nose in there as well. One driver we said to keep an eye on, well, that was Donovan Ross. He's already up there, moving his way up into the position, just a couple of positions back from that battle. So clearly some more pace still in that number 5 machine.
Yeah, absolutely. He obviously likes this track, understands what it takes to be fast around here, and he's using that knowledge to his advantage right now. It's very, very early. Caution laps not counting, so still a long way to go, and he's got plenty of time to continue moving forward.
Yeah, indeed, has all the time in the world for him to be able to keep his way forward, and rest assured, I think that car, that number 5 machine, will definitely continue to move forward.
Yep, coming around to take the green this time, I believe. We've got Chapman out front, followed by Vickery, Snook, and Shrevs. Clevenger there in 5th. We'll see who gets the jump on the restart here. Absolutely, pace truck pulling off this time by. Chapman gets a great jump. Vickery closing in behind him along with Snook. Those three are pulling away a little bit. Man, right up top, we see Snook trying to get a run on Vickery on the outside here, trying to make that high line work. Vickery continuing to work the bottom of the track at the moment. Groove continues to move around. Great racing going on at the moment here. And Chapman continues pulling away. Snook holding on to second spot. He's opened up a gap over Victory. Shrevs and Victory kind of racing it out here for that third spot at the moment. That's probably one of the closer battles on track at the moment. There we see it on our screen there, running the high line. Victory in front of Shrevs. He's making a move toward the inside. Very, very tight racing here as we battle off turn 4. Continuing watching the guys up front here at the moment. Top 2 have pulled away quite a bit. We've got Shrevs and Moonin now coming into play here. Moonin working on the inside of Victory. Oh, and we've got a caution on track. Not sure what that's for. We'll have to go to the replay on this one.
Jumping back to the replay, this is Donovan Ross, it looks like. Oh, he just tagged the inside line. Does he have any contact? Looked like he didn't have any contact with the other players there, but he just a little bit of a self-spin there, JR.
Yeah, just a little bit of self-spin. Track getting slicker and slicker. It's becoming harder to hit that lane or that line the way you need to going into the corner, and if it gets away from you, there's not much that you can do in these cars.
No, a very, very hard lick indeed. So as this begins to reset itself, we look back at the top leaders here. Some very, very fierce battles. This is all getting very good.
It absolutely is. Kind of glad. I know Chapman and Snook, those guys, they're not going to be happy that the caution came out. They kind of had a big lead there, and it was probably going to come down to those two. But this caution definitely closes the field back up. There's several guys that are fast, and you're going to see them try to contend for those top spots here.
Yeah, indeed you are. I think Randy Shrevs is going to be one. Vickery can also get a good jump. We've seen some speed out of that car. Obviously a little bit unfortunate to see Donovan Ross falling all the way down through the field. He was one that we had our eyes on as potentially a sleeper pick, but a little bit of a rematch of what we saw last time out, JR, between Chapman and Snook.
Absolutely, and these two guys, they've been getting away on restarts very, very well, so I expect them to continue to pull away a little bit from third spot on the restart here. They'll run whichever lane they want to run, and they may even try to work together here. You know, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense to try to race each other side by side and have the third place guy close up on you, so if they work together, they can pull away, and it'll be between those two at the end.
It will indeed, as there goes the pace truck, and here come the lights. Lane Snook tried to get a little bit of a jump on Chapman, but it didn't exactly work out well. That's Snook going up to the super, super high sign. Shrevs up there as well, trying to make it work, but it's going to be Chapman that continues to lead in the back there. That's the 25 of Moonin, able to get around Vickery. Vickery looking like he's falling back down through the field.
He is a little bit trying to work that high side. That groove is all the way up against the wall. You can see it's starting to get a little bumpy, working really high, and we got a caution on the speedway.
Yeah, another caution here. This is a little bit of the same story that we saw the last time we were out here. So let's go back. This is Andy Patton there in the 87. Andy down low. Comes back up out of the corner. Oh, just a little bit of contact there with the 42. Completely incidental. I think Andy thought he had some more space and a big kerfluffle there. A lot of cars involved as Andy came back out on the track.
Yeah, that wasn't a good situation, but absolutely incidental contact. I don't think he realized there were 3 wide, and turn 4 is super tight on the exit there. So everybody just kind of coming together, and nobody had anywhere to go after that.
Yeah, everybody very much contained, but that's going to be about lap 15, so only about 10 laps here to go. We are over halfway, even though it seems like we've got a lot more to go thanks to all of these cautions here, but I was really looking forward to. I think Lane Snook's going to be very happy to get this caution. He didn't get the jump he wanted to over Blake Chapman, and Snook wants to try to get that spot back.
Yeah, absolutely. It's going to be one of the easier times to try to make a pass is on this restart. If you time things correctly and you go where the leader doesn't, you have a very good chance of being able to at least get side by side, give yourself an opportunity to make that pass. So, yeah, the more restarts we have, the more opportunities we're going to see for a change in the lead.
Well, and Randy Shrevs is another one that we're going to see I think certainly starting to move his way forward. That is a car that we have seen really push its way up the order. So a good run there for him. It'll be one to watch for sure.
Absolutely. He's been fast all night. Vickery's going to look at trying to come back also. He's down in 5th at the moment, probably because of a slip up or something that happened around him. So he's going to look to redeem himself and move up a few spots here.
Indeed he is. But right now, eyes are going to go to Blake Chapman, trying to see what he can do. Up 1 lane, Snook up 2, and there's the restart. They're off and going. A little bit of a better start. 4-lane Snook, but still not the one that he wants. He's going to go back up to that high line. Remember, that was the line he was running to perfection last time out when we were here last week. Another good battle in the back there, as this is Nick Vickery trying to hold off Clevenger a little bit. Vickery trying to prevent that bleeding and falling down the order even further.
Absolutely. Blake Chapman got a great jump there, able to run that low line. The top line's going to have the momentum, but it's going to take a few laps for it to come in. We'll continue to see racing up front here. Moonen getting a little high through 3 and 4. Shrevis trying to make a move underneath him.
Yeah, Shreb's trying to see what he can do there. Not really able to get too much done, as we've got another caution flag thrown out here today at Volusia.
Paying attention to John Rayner Jr. here on the screen. I believe, yep, just contact going into turn 3, slid up a little bit into that middle lane and into the outside car, and we had multiple cars flipping there. So a couple of guys ending their night, closing up the field a little bit.
Yeah, so that's going to bring everything back together here, and that will put 9 laps to go here. So just about a heat race to go as we get going. Looks like we've got about 20 cars still running out on track there or thereabouts. Patton down pit lane right now. Not sure if he's going to be able to see himself come back out.
Yeah, he may not be able to. This is going to eliminate some guys from the race, give us fewer cars on track. Could potentially give us some green flag racing here, but I think we're probably not done with cautions. Guys are going to be thinking ahead on what they want to do late in this race.
Well, and it does bring up the fact that when you keep running these caution laps, it can just sort of get your mind set out of it and get a little bit thrown. But here is Randy Shrebs as he works his way around in the 56, waiting for that green flag to fly as we've got 1 more lap to go.
Yeah, and it's just 1 more lap to think about things. The thing about running this high line when the cushion has moved right up against the wall like that, it's very hard to be able to go right after restart right back up there. It's something that usually takes a couple of laps to get into your rhythm and figure out how you need to approach the corner. So I'm really looking at Blake Chapman here. He's been taking that low line through 1 and 2 and pulling off to a big lead. I think some other guys are going to have to try to follow him there.
Yeah, I think they are as well. Chapman just looking like he is in control of this race to the best of his power. As we wait here for everything to get back and going. There's the green flag. It looks like this may be another good restart from Chapman. He's able to pull a little bit away from Snook. But the 56 up, Randy Shrebs working that high line very well. A little bit squirrely down on the low side for Moon, and that's going to allow for Vickery to pounce, and Vickery moves his way up.
Absolutely, trying to get that inside line running. Doesn't quite pass Moonen right there through 3 and 4. He's continuing to work the bottom through 1 and 2 though.
Continues to work that bottom through 1 and 2, and that forces Moonen up on that high line, and he's gonna, there you can see that car buffeting back and forth as he gets hit going through those bumps, working on lap 20 right here and now. 6 laps to go here at the virtual Volusia Speedway. Chapman continues to lead, but Snook trying to close down that gap, but not exactly being as successful as he would want to.
No, he's not. Gap's kind of moving back and forth at the moment, but Chapman looks like he's got things under control. Continue to run a fine racer.
Does indeed. Moonen also continues to hold down that that 4th position quite well. Woo! We are Noah's Ark style there in the back. That is Clevenger, Sargent, Parker, and Chapman running 2 by 2 by 2.
Absolutely good racing here. These guys are trying to work each other over, figure out how to get by. It's becoming tougher and tougher as this track's slicking off. The high line is becoming a little bit more dominant. We see a good run on the outside there out of turn 4.
And that is Snook up into the lead lane. Snook able to take that top position just like we saw him do last time out as a caution. A caution comes out.
And, I don't think that's a bad thing for Snook. I think that's given him the opportunity to retain that lead and not allow Chapman to cross him over. So that may have played out really, really well for him.
Yeah, it may indeed, and this should set up about a 3-lap shootout to the finish when everything is done and dusted here. So it's going to be Snook from Chapman, from Shrevs, Moonen, Miller, and Vickery all the way down in 6th after starting so high. So, yeah, we'll have to see. We have not seen Lane Snook be able to control a restart here at this point, so it'll be interesting to see what will happen with that 123 machine now that he'll have control of the field.
It will be for sure. He was one of the best at working that high line. That's what gave him the momentum to go and get the lead from Blake Chapman. The thing is, I don't think the high line's where you're going to be on the first time through turn 1 and 2. So we're going to have to see what kind of line he picks. I think the bottom's going to be where you need to be at. But ultimately, that last lap, you maybe want to be up top, and Lane Snook again is one of the best there.
Yeah, he is, and that is certainly going to be a terrifying prospect to see if Lane Snook being up on that high line is going to be able to be any way to get by. Although we have seen some great speed out of Blake Chapman, but this could be a repeat of exactly what we saw last time out with the two of them, with Chapman taking first victory and coming second to Lane Snook in this 360 race.
Yeah, it's looking like it may play out that way. We'll have to see what happens these closing laps here once we go back to green. But, yeah, Lane Snook's a guy that you do not want to give track position, and right now he's got that lead.
Yeah, he does indeed. So Lane Snook leading off here with what we anticipate being about a 3-lap shootout to the end here at the Virtual Volusia Speedway in this 360 Sprint Series presented by Icon Sim Sports. Waiting here for the pace truck to pull off that green flag to fly. There it does. Snook on it early. There he gets going, and that is a mega start for the 123.
Absolutely great start. Exactly what he needed, but we got a caution on the speedway.
Oh, another caution out, and this will now set up a 2-lap shootout, so that amazing start absolutely scuppered for Lane Snook.
Yeah, and unfortunately he's going to have to do something different on this next restart because Blake Chapman's smart enough to know and realize what happened there, and he'll make adjustments going forward.
How much of a change can you make, JR, as a driver, whether you are leading or whether you are following, to try to get that best start? I mean, obviously you can change when you're going to go and that kind of thing, but what's that kind of mentality like behind the helmet?
Yeah, it's definitely tough for the guy in second place. You're trying to anticipate it without jumping the start on the leader. And for the leader, it's tough depending on what the rules are because the restart zone is usually a pretty small spot. And in this division, I believe the restart zone is very close to the time that the green flag is thrown. So there's not a lot that you can do, but it's more about having your car positioned in a good spot to get a good launch without tire spin.
All right, there you heard it first. I don't know about you all, folks, but I was feverishly taking notes during that because God knows I need to be better at restarts.
Always a very tricky situation. Every car is a little bit different. I know these guys, they're experts on what they're doing in these 360s, but yeah, one of the big things is just trying to eliminate that wheel spin. Tracks continuing to change. You see where it's getting slick. And the groove continues to be right up against the outside wall, but I don't know. I think the very bottom could be important here.
All right, we'll have to see if anybody chooses to go to that bottom. As we said, now setting up what we anticipate being a 2-lap shootout, I believe, or maybe a 3-lap, depending on what ends up breaking down here. We'll keep you abreast as we get going under green once again. Here we go, though. Lane Snook in that 123 will have control of the field. All eyes going to him as the iRacing pace truck pulls off to the side. There they go. On the loud pedal, it's another good start, but it's a good start for Randy Shrevs as well. Really working that car down. Moonen trying to make things work. It will be 2 laps as they come around here. Lane Snook has a big advantage. Shrevs trying to hold on the best that he can, but Chapman able to try to get something going there around the outside, as I'm not sure what happened to Shrevs just all the way down the order. Did he blink out there?
I think he did. Looks like he's back going now at the moment. He did a great run on the bottom through 1 and 2. Got the spot in second.
And we now come to the finishing order as it's going to be Snook, Shrevs, Chapman, your 1, 2, 3. A blink there, confusing your commentators, but not taking away from what was an incredible drive from Randy Shrevs to be able to take that third place position away from Blake Chapman in this 360 Sprint Series. An amazing drive and an even better one for Lane Snook. There you can see your finishing order. It was Lane Snook taking victory, followed by Randy Shrevs, with Blake Chapman and Kyle Moonen in fourth. Field Miller was P5, followed by Nick Vickery with Jack Clevenger in seventh, Kyle Parker in eighth, Dustin Sargent ninth, and Zach Chapman in 10th.
Yep, coming home in 11th place was G.J. Boydell. 12th went to Joe Canellis. 13th, Barry Goldner. Dean Reynolds in 14th. Daniel Vaught, 15th. Brian Moore Sr. comes home in 16th. Preston Cranmer in 17th. John Rayner Jr. coming home in 18th tonight.
So a really, really great run there all the way around. And now I am proud to say that we have caught up with our victor here tonight, Lane Snook. Lane, another 360 Sprint Series, another victory. This has got to feel good to be taking 2 on the trot.
Yeah, it definitely does. It helps to have a good early season with points-wise. So we'll take it.
Well, and we saw you there on that those last couple of restarts after you got past Chapman, being able to just absolutely fly away. But how scared were you and a little bit angry were you at the restarts, or maybe happy that they came so you could maybe get a jump?
I didn't want to restart at all whenever I passed Chapman. I just kind of wanted to get in the rhythm and go. But I'm glad it played out how it did. And
well, we're glad for you, my friend. And obviously, it seems like you're starting a little bit down farther in the order and then kind of have to work your way up. I mean, is there something going on in Q and in the heat races that's sort of preventing you from just absolutely dominating these races? Because by the time we get to the feature, it looks like you're untouchable.
yeah, tacky tracks are not my racing style at all, and I'm a lot better on a slick racetrack, and it's really hard to pass in a heat race if you qualify good. Tonight I really messed up qualifying in turn 1, but it's all good.
Well, I would say any kind of victory is a good victory, and you certainly took a good one here, Lane. Anybody you want to thank today?
Yeah, I want to thank Ross at Velocity Designs, everybody at Vandyville, Brandon, Jesse, Fitzy, JP, Moonen, Goldner, Lacey, Work Doctor Trucking, Bio.com, Powerhouse, and Motorsports Wagon Brothers. You guys for the broadcast, Roger and them for putting this league on. Universal Satellite Service, Jack on Howard Associates, Keystone Alliance, KKP, Keys Recording Products, Foxy Speaks Zoom, Mexico Ridge Bee Farm, Snook Group Designs, Old Hatchery, Fitzy's Photography, Slack Carts Performance Manufacturing.
Well, thank you so much, Lane, and congratulations again. That was Lane Snook, your victor here today. And now, JR, I believe you've thought up with our third place finisher, Blake Chapman.
Absolutely, I have, DJ. Blake, looked like you lost the lead at one of the worst possible times. No way to tell, but caution came out right after the pass was made, not giving you a chance to kind of do a crossover. Walk us through what happened there.
Yeah, I really didn't want to see that caution come out, but Elaine got under me there, and he threw a good slider and tried to get him back, but I should have slowed up more when I threw my slider, but I gave him room on the outside, and he got around me, and that's when the caution came out. That was probably a mistake that lost it for me, but he went out and got it. Congrats to him. He drove a hard race, and I tried something there at the end on the restart. Tried the top, because that top came in very well last week at the end, so I tried it this week, but it just didn't come in for like it did last week. So, but again, congrats to Randy and Lane. Both those guys had a really good run.
Yeah, absolutely. You guys put on a great show. Kind of walk us through your mindset on that final restart. Obviously, following the leader around the track, that's probably all you're going to end up doing is following him. You made a choice to go high, so kind of walk us through your mindset coming to green there.
Yeah, exactly. I had to try something different. I knew he was probably going to go to the bottom, so I said, why not go to the top, because it worked last week, and didn't work out for me, and I tried to get back to the middle there on the last lap just to hold on to third, because I had some guys that were really charging there at the end.
Yeah, absolutely. Either way, man, you had amazing speed tonight. Put on a great show for everybody watching. Anybody you want to thank for this great run tonight?
Yeah, VPR, Vanderpool Racing, and all of our sponsors, and my teammates Tyler Wilson and Patrick Spangler for running with me tonight. Unfortunately, they had some bad luck. I got to thank my parents, grandparents, Steve Bixler, my sister, everybody who watches and supports. I got to thank the league, and of course Roger Craig. Shout out to him, happy birthday, the owner. And I got to thank you guys for broadcasting this.
Yeah, well, we appreciate it, Blake. Congratulations on the run tonight. And now, DJ, I think you're going to catch up with our second place finisher, Randy Shreves.
I have indeed, Randy. A solid drive on a solid night. This has got to feel very, very good to come home in P2.
Yeah, it definitely feels good to be on the podium again, especially with this group of guys. It's always a tough race here, so anytime you finish on the podium is a good night.
Well, it looked like obviously a lot of stop and start out there. And how do you as a driver sort of get yourself keeping in a good racing mindset when you've got to have a lot of those stop and start moments?
Yeah, it's definitely tricky to get back in your rhythm, especially when you're really unsure of the line, just like I was in this last race. I thought the top was fast, and then, people started catching me and passing me, so I decided to hop down there on the bottom and managed to pull out a second.
Well, you pulled it out well, my friend, and what were you thinking on that final restart? It looked like you had a little bit of internet issues. Did that scare you all a little bit, or were you just kind of sticking your line?
Honestly, it didn't bother me. I didn't even notice, but I was just trying to not let anybody else get by me, just try to get a good restart, because it's definitely real important at this track to get a good restart.
Well, it is indeed, but you got that good restart, you got that good run. Anybody you would like to thank for the run here tonight?
For sure, definitely want to thank my team, LGR Motorsports, ER Setup Shops, Redline Race Design, One Wish Foundation, Wraps and Stitches, KSB Builders, Finish Line Repair, CD Cinematography, Coast to Coast for putting on this league, and you guys for the broadcast.
Well, we are more than happy to do it, Randy. That was Randy Shreves, your second place finisher here tonight, and that is going to bring us to yet another short break. But do not go anywhere, because we have more racing action here on the Virtual Grip Network. We've got the Pro Dirt late models coming to Volusia, so don't go anywhere.
Coolray has always been a leader in our industry.
The lifetime parts and labor warranty is pretty awesome. Basically, all the parts are covered, the labor and everything.
When we say lifetime, we mean lifetime, and it's supported with money-back guarantees. And with that, you're getting all qualified technicians that are going to ensure that this job is done perfectly and operates perfectly throughout the life of the unit.
Learn more about our Coolray lifetime parts and labor warranty at Coolray.com. Coolray and Carrier. Turn to the experts.
Welcome back to the Virtual Volusia Speedway. We have one more race on the books here tonight, and JR, we are taking the pro late models out on track. It is time to change things up. We are no longer running with the open wheelers. What can we expect from these big hulking machines?
Yeah, these are fast machines as well. Not as maneuverable as the 360 sprints that we saw earlier, but you will see a lot of slider lines being thrown, especially late in the race. These are cars where you can certainly make up a lot of time doing that. It'll be interesting to see if the groove will move up. I don't think it'll move up as high as the 360 sprints, but we'll have to pay attention to that.
Yeah, we will indeed. A smaller field out here today for this, and most importantly, I'm not seeing our defending winner here, Steven Spies, so we could be in store for a big shakeup in the championship, which was presented by the iRacing League manager. Spies obviously leading off in that, but yeah. JR, talk to me a little bit about what it's like to drive these big pro late models around here.
They're a lot of fun for sure, and like I said, you can really slide these cars around, take that low line going in, slide up to the top by the middle of the turn. So it gives you a lot of options. You can also roll right around the bottom and put that nose right against the wall. And if you do it correctly, there's a lot of grip down there here at Volusia. So these guys are going to have multiple lanes that they can run, and they're going to have a lot of opportunities because these are throttle sensitive cars. If you're not good on the throttle, you're going to lose ground. You're going to spin those tires. So got to pay attention to what's going on around you and what you're doing with the braking and the throttle here.
Yeah, indeed you are, as we just wait for practice to tick over, and there I see it doing just that. So as you can see, Templeton, Schatzer, Miller, Nicholson, and Piercefield, your top 5 there from qualifying. Smaller order out here means smaller fields, but it doesn't mean any lack of good racing out on track. Rest assured, if we saw anything last week, it was that these guys put on one heck of a show. So you see Brandon Templeton being one of the first cars to take his number 31 out on track.
Absolutely. It'll be interesting to see what kind of lane they run early here. Obviously, what we're seeing on screen, guys kind of trying to run that high line, coming to the green flag to get their momentum up, and then kind of ducking down to the bottom through 1 and 2. Yeah, track's still got a lot of moisture in it, a lot of grip down low right now. I think that's going to end up being the preferred lane for qualifying at the moment.
And we see him diving down there. Brandon Templeton setting that early time to go to the top of the sheets, waiting for everybody else. I see Roger Craig putting in a time that's good enough for P2 right there, waiting for everybody else to come on in, get those times across. Chapman coming in P3. And there comes some more. Patrick Spangler, Andy Piercefield down in P4. Kurt Schatzer up to P3, so a good time for him. Miller and Kemper in 5th and 7th, respectively. Randy Shrevs in P7.
Absolutely, seeing more and more times come in. These guys are really, really tight, and that's impressive for these type of cars with the higher horsepower. It shows the field that we have. These guys are great to watch. They know what they're doing. Put on a great show here. Piercefield now into 6th place. Parker goes up to the top.
A great lap there from Kyle Parker to be able to put his name to P1, as there you see it, just waiting for the last time to be set from Nick Vickery, who I do believe is out on track right now. There's the first lap for Nick Vickery. That is a P4, good enough for him. We watch Randy Shrevs right now working his way around as Andy Piercefield calling it a halt. Randy Shrevs going good there. Is that can be an improvement? It does not look like it, but it is for Nick Vickery, and that's a good lap for him. And Nick, he is our in-race reporter. What can you tell us about these late models out on this Florida track?
Yeah, the pro lates here, it's a really good race. I know last time we were here, it was a really good show. Really, the things to look out for here in the pro late models is to try not to make contact with that inside wall, because if you do, it just kills all your momentum. These cars are kind of somewhere in between the 305 and the 360s, right? The 305s are strictly momentum based, but the 360s are keep the back end of the car underneath you, and this car is kind of a good in between. If you get the car too sideways, getting in the corner, then you lose a lot of momentum, and yeah, I mean, that's really the big thing, is just to keep the car underneath you and keep your nose clean.
Nick, looking at these cars and what we've seen from the 305s and 360s tonight, do you think the groove in these pro lates are going to move up as high on the racetrack, or do you think it's going to pretty much stay low, especially with the car count we have here?
No, I think it'll stay either on the very, very bottom against the wall, or it may go up 2 or 3 lanes, but I don't think you're going to see anywhere near where it was for either the 305 or the 360. I do think the slider line could be beneficial. I was running it in practice and running pretty consistent lines with it. So I think it'll make for some good racing.
Well, some good racing indeed. Nick, thank you so much for joining us here in the booth. We'll let you get back to getting yourself psyched up to get going. And JR, you heard it there, that low line, a little bit of a change from what we've seen. So that can certainly make things a little bit more interesting once we get out into these heat races.
Yeah, it absolutely will, and it'll be interesting to see if some guys can kind of get that second or third lane working, so they can kind of get a run and dive underneath the guy that is running that low lane. Because if the lane stays at the bottom, that's what you're going to have to do. I don't think you'll be able to make the pass on the high side.
No, I think it's going to be very, very difficult to do it. But we get ready for the first heat race out here again, presented by the Lucas Oil Empire Super Sprints Series. As we get ready to line everything up, it's going to be Field Miller lining up in P1, followed by Kurt Schatzer with Nick Vickery in P3 and Kyle Parker in P4.
Fifth place got Alex Pomerleau, and then sixth place Jeffrey Kemper. Seventh, rounding out the field, will be Roger Craig tonight.
And again, the top four will advance from this. So it is the same format that we've seen from those other series. And JR, I mean, we talked about how it's all getting to that bottom lane, but if you're starting up high, what can you do to try to counter that?
I think you're going to have to try to squeeze the guy a little bit on the bottom, try to run as close to him as you can. That's the only way you're going to get the most grip that you can at this moment. Grip's really, really good at the bottom early on here, so you're going to have to try to squeeze him a little bit, and these are cars where you can kind of lean on each other, so kind of expect that to happen, but the inside guy is not going to take a whole lot of it because he can lean back, so just got to be careful, but yeah, got to kind of squeeze him down a little bit.
All right, so we'll have to watch out for that squeeze if that's the preferred tactic for these drivers to get their way around here. As we said, Field Miller, Kurt Schatzer, Nick Vickery, and Kyle Parker currently starting in the transfer positions, but as we've seen out on track, just about anything can happen. 2 laps of pacing around here. Anybody you've got your eye on, JR?
Definitely going to look at Vickery here, starting I believe in third place. So we're going to see what he can do. He's got the preferred lane. See if he can jump into second early and then work over the leader. I think it's going to be the spots to pay attention to.
All right, we'll have to see. We'll have to see if that inside lane is able to get a good jump around here as these dirt late models get ready to get going. Miller with that 667. Ready to start things off. The iRacing pace truck about ready to pull off in, and there indeed it goes. Green flag is out, and it's a start there from the field, but it looks like that's Miller carrying some more momentum on the high side. He's going to try to bring it out and carry that momentum going around, and I think he might just have it, JR.
Very impressive for Miller, able to get that run. He may be too high through 3 and 4, but no, looks like he's going to at least hold steady with Schatzer for the lead.
Banging doors a little bit as they come across the start-finish line. 8-lap heat races here as we've seen through the rest of the night. Schatzer trying to hold that low line. They are absolutely Noah's Ark style 2x2 as they work their way around. Schatzer and Miller and Parker and Vickery, neither group letting an inch.
Absolutely love what we're seeing. Side-by-side racing, multiple grooves working in here. The bad thing with the outside lane, it's got a lot of grip right now for rear traction, but you're losing a lot of time on that back stretch with the D-shaped backstretch there. So, yep, Schatzer may have a good run here to do a slide job.
And see, to think about it, he's going to try it, but he's not able to do it as Field Miller's able to at least keep a nose. But there's this closing slider. He's got it. But Schatzer's just going to keep his nose on the high side. Look at that in the back, though. That's Pomerleau starting to pick his nose up in there into the 397.
Absolutely. Joining the crowd here, getting into the race, and we've only got 4 laps to go. Vickery looking on the inside, continuing to work the bottom of the track, trying to capture that 3rd spot so he can go up here and race with the leaders.
Trying to hold on the best that he can, keeping it down low, working it around. There he goes. He's got it at least. But Pomerleau now is going to work his way up onto the high line as they're going to cross over the line here to take 2 laps to go. Vickery's able to hold it, and that little batter there is allowing Kemper now to poke his nose back up maybe into 5th. But, ooh, big slide for Vickery. Gets his nose up into 3rd place. Is he going to seal the deal? He is. He's ahead of Parker.
Absolutely great pass there going through 1 and 2, coming to 1 to go at the moment. He's up to 3rd. I think it's going to play out that way. Miller's pulled out to a good lead.
Miller has a good lead over Schatzer. Vickery looks like he's been able to secure that 3rd place position now and forever as Parker, now Kyle Parker, tries to hold up Pomerleau and hold him off. He will. It's going to be Miller. Schatzer and Vickery automatically advancing alongside Kyle Parker. Pomerleau, Kemper, and Craig not able to. They'll have to go back to the B main.
Absolutely. A little bit different from what we expected there. We saw that middle lane really being fast ultimately in the long run there, so expect that moving forward.
And there you can see those finishing results as we get ready for the second and final heat race out here on track. This one presented by the Super Dirt Car Series. Lining up in pole position for this, it's going to be Andy Piercefield, followed by Carson Nicholson, with Patrick Spangler and Brandon Templeton in fourth.
In fifth place, we got Randy Shreves, and sixth place going to go to Zach Chapman for tonight's second heat.
Indeed it is. So that middle lane, surprisingly good. There are those championship standings, by the way, and with Steven Spees not here tonight, I think that's going to give a little bit of an advantage over to Templeton and Shreves as they work their way around. Andy Piercefield leading this off, but Nicholson may have something to do on that high side, JR.
Yeah, absolutely. Based on what we saw in the first heat, if he can get a good launch here and run side by side with Piercefield, he's going to probably be able to take that lead. So he's got to make sure that he gets a good jump and is able to maintain that position on the outside.
Yeah, that outside line certainly looked like it could work, but that Fear Dirt late model slider did come into play, so we'll have to see if that does it again. As Andy Piercefield brings this cars out of turn 2 for the final time under yellow. Remember, no yellows thrown here in the course of the heat races. So we see them working their way around right now, waiting for that pace truck to pull off. There it goes. And now Piercefield takes the green flag, tries to give a little bit of a pinch to Nicholson, but Nicholson gets a great runner on the outside trying to make that momentum line work. They throw their way through a big sideways move there from Piercefield. He's now got to worry about Templeton coming up behind, and here comes Spangler.
Absolutely. Piercefield kind of working on damage control right now, getting himself in line. We're going to sort it out, get his speed going again, and then he'll try to go after the lead.
Indeed he will. We ride on the left front here of Brandon Templeton, currently riding around in third right now, just sizing up any opportunities in front. I love this camera. You can see just how much wheel he's having to put in to keep that car pointed in the direction that he wants to. But that's Spangler with a great job up the inside to take away third.
Absolutely. Spangler's really working that inside, figured out how he needs to drive the track to get that track position, pulled off a nice slider. Now he's moving back up top.
Moving back up top, not having to do too much. Almost contact there between him and that, but Chapman now starting to work his way in as well, forcibly getting his way into that final transfer position of P4 as we're about ready to cross over halfway of this second heat race in the books.
It's going by quick for sure. These guys sorting it out up front, continuing to race back here in the back with Chapman and Templeton.
Yeah, continuing to race it out, and Chapman looks like he's got the advantage now, but Templeton trying to hold down to that inside line the best that he can, really forcing its way through there. Is he going to have a little bit of an advantage? They're going to be just about side by side as they cross over. This is for that third transfer spot. Templeton behind them. They're trying to see if he can nose his way in. He's going to make it 3 wide almost.
Awesome racing, great car control by these guys. They're really going at it here. They're going back to 2 wide here with Spangler and Chapman trying to work each other over. I know Templeton, he's anxious trying to find an opening so he can move forward.
Is indeed, and that spot swapping back now and forth between Templeton and Chapman for that final transfer position. Let's see who can do it. Let's see who's got it as they cross over the line. It is Templeton, and this is the white flag lap, so only one to go in the books as they continue to work their way around. Oh, contact there. Chapman getting a little bit of a nudge, and that may send him out, but it is going to be Nicholson taking the victory here in the Pete race. Piercefield behind him, Spangler, Templeton, and Chapman. Chapman just missing out.
Just barely. Great race for that transfer spot. That's what we like to see here. Got a couple of guys going to have to go to the B main, try to continue their night.
And as you can see there, Carson Nicholson, Andy Piercefield, Patrick Spangler, and Brandon Templeton making it on. Zach Chapman and Randy Shreves not able to make it as we get into this B main presented by Chip Bangers Racing. This is Alex Pomerleau, Zach Chapman, and Jeffrey Kemper, your top 3.
Yeah, 4th place starting is going to be Randy Shreves, and then Roger Craig's going to be rounding out the field in 5th place, short field here.
Yeah, short field. Nobody going home out of this. This is just to determine the final order for the A main. There we go. I got the words out finally. And so a little bit fast and fierce, but not nearly as desperate as we've seen from some of the other B mains over the course of the night, JR.
Definitely not. So 5 guys here. I think these guys are going to be really smart. Not try to bring out anything that that would cause contact or an incident, but they're definitely going to be trying to learn. They're going to have a lot of work to do when it comes to the A main. So they're going to move around, try to work each other over, and figure out where their car is working given the track conditions right now.
All right, so yeah, they're definitely going to have to use this, and the subsequent warm-up is definitely figuring out how it is, because as you said before, a lot of power being put down in these cars and that track always changing.
It definitely is, and I'm telling you, turn 1 is getting slicker and slicker on entry. These cars are going to be very easy to over-rotate. Once you do, you lose a lot of speed. The guy behind you can make contact without even trying. So these guys are going to have to pay attention to that as it continues to slick off. I can't talk either, DJ. So I'm having problems too. It's not just you.
It's something in the booth tonight. I don't know what it is. It may be the water, JR. We'll have to look into that with our director, Mike, and figure out what it is. But as of right now, Alex Pomerleau getting ready to take the green flag. A little bit of bumping to get things started off as Pomerleau takes off and gets going. That is Zach Chapman trying to make things work around the outside, but he's losing out a little bit as that's Randy Shrevis trying to see if he can find anything going.
Absolutely working the inside lane here. I think that's a good spot to be, but yeah, as the guy on the outside is there, you're not able to move up and run the outside coming off the corner, keep your momentum going. So yeah, it's going to be more and more difficult. I think as the night goes, outside lane's going to start prevailing here.
Indeed it is, and the gap starting to develop up there a little bit with Pomerleau really starting to pull away, but Chapman trying to close in the best that he can, but it is relatively single file here in this B main. Chapman starting to maybe get that a little bit closer, though, as soon as I say it.
Absolutely, he's putting in some fast lap times right now, looking at the leaderboard. Now he's going to try to work the inside to see if he can get an advantage going here. He's getting there, so just going to have to figure out how to make the ultimate pass.
I think he may have to throw that slider line if he wants to make that fully work. He's going to dive down to the inside, maybe a little bit of a pinch there, not trying to fully commit down to the low line just yet. And all of that battling is allowing a little bit of Randy Shrevis to be able to close in behind. Not able to do anything there, and it looks like Chapman's going to fall back.
Yep, moving back a little bit. He's made it up a lot of ground. I think he lost time the lap before just because of that over-rotation going into turn 1. He's learned a lot racing for the lead here. He's getting a little bit better, and a little bit of contact.
Yeah, a little bit of bumping and banging there as Shrevis trying to poke his way forward a little bit, and that's going to allow for Kemper to maybe get his nose in there. More contact between Shrevis and Kemper.
It's getting heated here for sure. These guys are racing hard, but ultimately they're just trying to figure out what their car is doing, trying to see what they need to do for the A mains coming up.
No, I'll tell you, doesn't need to do a whole lot to his car here at this point, and that is Pomerleau.
Absolutely.
Yeah, Pomerleau looking very, very good out front. Chapman able to be behind him as they get ready to take the white flag.
Yeah, Pomerleau's continuing to pull away, coming to the white flag for sure. Got over a half-second lead going. Big lead for this type of racing. Chapman, though, I think has got a lot of speed. It's just trying to figure out how he needs to make passes moving forward.
I think you're right on that. Shrevis trying to see if he can get anything in behind him, but I don't think Randy's got a whole lot, and that's not great for him in the championship points. But the victor here in the B main is going to be Pomerleau, followed by Chapman, Shrevis, Kemper, and Craig, rounding out your finishing order. There you can see the full results of the Chip Bangers Racing B main. As we said, all drivers qualifying here today, and now drivers are headed out on track right now for a little bit of a warm-up, so some of those drivers that automatically qualified for the A main can figure things out. But as we said earlier, we still have him here with us. Nick Vickery, our in-race reporter. Nick, how is the track feeling out there in these dirt late models?
It definitely feels the freshest that it's felt all night. With the lower car count here in the pro lates, there's definitely still a lot of moisture left in the racetrack, and I think you'll see a lot of close, tight racing. The lines are pretty similar to what they were in the heat races in the Constellation. So I think you'll see a lot of guys in the middle and some guys on the top trying to pinch the guys down so that they can't throw sliders going through the corner. But I think you'll see, kind of like I said in the 360 race, I think you'll see guys dominating the corner coming off and trying to get a run on them so that they can't pitch them down.
And Nick, we've seen it kind of from some of the heat races here, but tell us just how slick is turn one getting, especially on the bottom.
It's getting pretty slick down there. If you get in too hard and you're not off the throttle already, the car will jump sideways. And I heard you guys mention it there in the consolation race. Chapman over-rotated the car a little bit, maybe got into some of that slick stuff, and you saw how much time he lost. So it only takes one or two mistakes like that, and you lose 2 or 3 spots pretty quick.
Yeah, absolutely. It doesn't take much at all in these cars to lose some ground, especially with the throttle control that you got. In anything in particular you're looking for tonight, you got a good starting spot.
Yeah, I think the name of the game tonight is going to be to be patient, right? Because with the track as fresh as it is, there's going to be a lot of close racing, and sometimes you can't just force your way through the field. And so I think keeping your nose clean is probably the number one thing on my mind, and then just trying to advance when I can. Certainly, I think we're running 25, 30 laps. So if an opportunity opens itself, you've got plenty of time to make something happen.
Absolutely, definitely got about 30 laps you guys are going to be running tonight. Nick, appreciate you talking with us again, spending your night with us, showing us what it's going to take to run well in all of these cars. So thank you again for that.
Yes, sir. Thank y'all for having me.
That was Nick Vickery, our in-race reporter, and we are very, very thankful to him. So, JR, we close in on this final race of the night, and it's, let's call it the gambling time. Who are you going to be watching for? Who is your pick for the race?
Definitely going to be paying attention to Vickery. Been fast all night, been our in-race reporter. He's got a lot of knowledge, knows what it's going to take to try to get his car around and move forward. Also, I'm going to kind of pay attention to Chapman just because I saw a lot of speed from him during that B main. It's just trying to figure out how to pass the guy in front of you. So if he can work on that, he can gain some spots here.
Well, I think for me, one of the drivers I'm going to be looking at is Randy Schrevis. We've seen a lot of speed out of him. Obviously, had to be back in that B main, but he could be one to move his way forward. But the other driver that I'm going to keep my eye on, well, that's going to be your pole sitter, Field Miller, who will be lining up in P1 in that 677 machine. Besides him, it will be Carson Nicholson with Kurt Schatzer, Andy Piercefield lining up behind them. Our very own Nick Vickery will line up in P6, followed by Patrick Spangler in P6.
Yep, P7 going to Kyle Parker tonight. P8 will be Brandon Templeton. 9th will be Alex Pomerleau. 10th will go to Zach Chapman. Randy Schrevis will be in 11th spot looking to make up some ground. And then 12th will be Jeffrey Kemper. And 13th running out our field goes to Roger Gray.
All right, just waiting for the last couple of drivers to grid up here for this feature race. It is going to be a good one. Field Miller, the Carolina driver, will be leading the field to green, as there we see the set, and we are ready to go in this 30-lap race. Obviously, the longest race that we've seen out here today, JR. And does that change your mentality a little bit when you're running a longer race?
I absolutely think that it does. So for me, you're going to want to see how this start plays out. Kind of fall into line where you can, get settled in, see what your car is doing with the track conditions, and then go to work on the guys in front of you. So you have time to kind of think about what you need to do. You don't have to just go immediately at the drop of the green.
Yeah, exactly. I think that patience factor is the way to go, and especially with these dirt late models, as we see the track slick in a little bit, maybe some unpredictable things happen. You may want to see if you could pick your way forward based off of that, but only one lap to go here under yellow before we get going green. We saw a lot of cautions in that 360 race. We saw a lot of cautions in that 305 race, but if the trend keeps true, we should go pretty green here in this dirt late models series race. As we continue to watch here, everybody out on track, Miller, Nicholson, Schatzer, Piercefield, those first two rows. We ride on board with the 218, the Pennsylvania driver, as they get ready to get going. And there goes the flag, and here comes the thunder. It's time for the final race here at Volusia. It's a great start from Nicholson and Miller, as they're both able to pull ahead, trying to get going along.
Absolutely. Piercefield's able to jump into second place right now, trying to hold off Miller on the inside. Yep, absolutely grabs that spot. Great run on the outside. Top seems to be the preferred spot.
Top seems to be that preferred spot again as Piercefield, Miller, Spangler, Schatzer, Vickery trying to work his way forward. We've got a battle 3 wide though in the back. Vickery diving it way down low.
Absolutely slides up in the middle now. Got Schatzer on the inside. This is tight racing. Spangler on the outside. Looks like he's going to prevail and pass, but Vickery does gain a spot there.
He does gain a spot, but he's now going to have his eyes set on Patrick Spangler directly ahead of him. He's trying to take a little bit of a lower line, V'ing off that corner, diamonding off that corner. We heard that term used before as they work their way through turns 1 and 2. Continuing to watch here, Kurt Schatzer.
Absolutely trying to get a run back on Vickery. Looks like they're kind of following each other, getting settled in a little bit, figuring out what they need to do. Vickery's making a pass, trying to on the inside. Spangler here.
Trying to make that pass, and there's the slide job from Vickery, trying to throw it up there. I'm not sure if it worked as successfully as he would like it to, but still a great look for him.
Yep, absolutely. He's learning right now. I mean, we got a long way to go. He's doing moves, seeing what works, what doesn't work. Going to make another move here.
Going to try to make another move this to the outside, but we got to focus up on that battle for PO2 because this is Miller trying to hold off Piercefield to that outside and that 175.
I do like what I'm seeing there from Miller, able to run the bottom, make the pass on Piercefield. That was pretty impressive, especially with the track slicking off the way it is.
And it's starting to slick off more and more as that battle separates out a little bit as Field Miller able to fully hold on to that. But we've got to go back to this battle back for P4. This is a hornet's nest and a half, JR.
These guys are absolutely going at it, throwing their cars into the corners each and every lap. We're seeing a lot of slide jobs back and forth. Right now you've got, I believe it's Spangler trying to work the bottom there and losing a little bit of ground.
He's losing a little bit of ground, but still able to hold it out. That's the 51 there of Spangler, just trying to poke his nose to the inside of Vickery. Pomerleau trying to poke his nose inside there as well. It looks like Vickery's now going to dive up to the high side. Is that going to present an opportunity for Spangler to jump back up in front of him? No, it's not. Momentum is going to carry now for Nick Vickery.
Absolutely. Track continuing to change here right now. We're seeing the high line move higher and higher up that track. The bottom's kind of coming into play, but it's very, very tricky down there as the track gets really slick, especially going into turn 1.
Well, and you can see there off at turn 4, Spangler just trying to fight the car a little bit. It looks like it tries to slide even more than he wants it to coming off of the corner. So very, very tricky. Able to hold it pretty well coming out of 2, but not nearly as well out of 4 as he would liked it.
Absolutely. That's a great point. The inside can be a very fast lane when you're by yourself. When you got that car on the outside, you've got to hold it down on corner exit, and it does cost you a lot of time.
It does indeed, and they're looking like they're starting to catch in a little bit on the back of Andy Piercefield, only about a 0.7 of a second advantage, and so Vickery could have his sights set on a nice little, that's a car off and around. We've got a big kerfluffle. That's Spangler around.
Yeah, big changes happening up front with this contact. Let's watch the replay, see what happens here.
This is a car that's a lap down. That's Kyle Parker making some pretty heavy contact with the outside wall. He's able to keep it up and going, and then he's kind of just drilled in there trying to get himself back going around again, gets out of the way of the leader, and then, just nowhere for the rest of the field to go behind him as that 13 tries to get himself back going.
Yeah, I think he's probably... based on what it looked like there, probably knocked the rear end out of that car. Extremely hard to control or get it going straight, and was just not able to get out of the way of the leaders.
No, as we reset the order here and reset ourselves, this is going to be, it looks like, I believe, trying to figure it out. Oh, I just lost live timing and scoring, so I'm not going to be able to tell you how it looks exactly as we reset everything. Just trying to figure out that order of when the yellow flag fell, JR.
Yep, going to be a mixed up bag from what we had before the caution here. Yeah, we're still waiting on things to get sorted out at the moment.
Yeah, sometimes that can happen when you've got a big incident like that and then sort of a subsequent cascade of incidents that our timing and scoring can get mixed up. But I believe what it's going to come down to is Nicholson leading from Vickery, Pomerleau, Schatzer, and Piercefield as your top 5, unless I am a crazy person, which is very, very possible.
Yeah, absolutely. Looks like Vickery's going to have a very good starting spot coming to green here. He's on the outside lane. It's just all about making a good restart compared to what Nicholson does, and having that outside lane going into one.
And we've talked about the power of that outside lane, and we really did see Vickery use that to some very good effect, so he could be able to use that. I'm also very impressed here with Alex Pomerleau. Up 6 spots on the day, so a great run for him. There goes the pace truck, though, waiting for that green flag to fly. There it is. Little bit of door banging in between Nicholson and Vickery. I think Nicholson's a little bit scared of the attack from that 0-0.
Absolutely. A little bit of contact moved him up the track. It paid off for him as far as getting into one, but Vickery's fighting back hard on the inside into 3.
Big slide job thrown by Nick Vickery. Is it going to pay off? That's going to be Nicholson trying to get the fight back on him. Is he going to throw a subsequent slider? Yes, he is. Big slider there coming through 1 and 2.
Absolutely going back and forth, but that's allowed Pomerleau to close up. He's now racing for the lead.
He is indeed. They're almost 3 wide, but that's going to allow for Vickery to be able to hold that out and get that up and going. Now it's Pomerleau looking at the inside line. Side by side there for P2 between Pomerleau and Nicholson. Schatzer starting to get interested behind, as well as that 72 of Chapman.
Absolutely, and as this outside lane's moving higher and higher, it's allowing that inside lane to have some momentum and gain some ground as long as you don't over-rotate. Pomerleau's really making it pay off at the moment.
Yes, he is running that inside line to perfection, just on that knife's edge and really making it look quite easy. But they are Noah's Ark style 2x2. They're behind as they continue to work their way around.
Yeah, believe me, the only guy that enjoys this is Nick Vickery right now. He's able to just pull away, run his line, while those guys run side by side behind him.
Yes, they are. It does look like Nicholson's able to carry some more momentum in and out of the corner, so I think that's going to be P2 at least for this lap. Successively knocked down for Carson Nicholson. He's able to pull that down. Pomerleau's holding on to 3rd place, but that's Schatzer in the 218 trying to put a little bit of pressure to him there.
Yeah, I believe Schatzer's... Oh, we got a caution on the speedway.
Yes, we do. Not entirely sure what caused that here on lap 20. This is Andy Piercefield. Oh, some more contact with that 13 machine. That's Kyle Parker. That is just a bad day for him, and there's the tip around.
Yeah, I believe that was Piercefield getting tangled up there.
Yeah, it was indeed. So Piercefield just having a very rough day. And JR, I'll tell you who does not want to see that yellow come out. That is Nick Vickery, who was starting to pull away a little bit and just had a really good groove going, and this is certainly disrupting that.
It absolutely was. They were too wide behind him. He was just able to focus on what he was doing and be able to hold those guys off. Now he's got to focus on a restart that's coming up, try to get the best launch that he can so he can choose which lane he wants going into turn 1.
Yeah, exactly. And leader does get lane choice here, I do believe. But it looks like, or no, excuse me, they don't get lane choice, but will be able to starting off 2x2, obviously. And so he's really going to want to try to maximize it. I mean, is it going to be a hindrance for Vickery to be starting off on the inside? We've seen how much success he has up to the outside here.
Not necessarily. We'll just have to see how this launch goes. I think the big thing is he's going to want to be in the middle of the track, but as long as he's side by side with Nicholson going into turn 1, he can kind of move that slider line and try to pull off the move on him. Even if he doesn't get it done, he'd be on the inside going down the back stretch and have good position going into 3.
All right, well, let's see if that's what he does, because Nick Vickery is getting ready to take the green flag here with about 11 laps to go at the virtual Volusia Speedway Park. Getting ready to line up here, as that's going to be Carson Nicholson to his outside. Pomerleau and Schatzer behind him. Good start there for Vickery. He's able to get a good run on the field. Is he going to throw that slider up? Yes, he is, trying to halt up that momentum. Pomerleau's trying to look to the inside, see if he can get anything going there, but I don't think he's got enough momentum. Here comes the slider from Nicholson.
Nicholson trying to do a slider. I do not think he's going to get him clear all the way, but he's going to do it going into turn 1 here.
Yes, he is. There's a little bit of that crossover defense from Vickery, though, as he fights back to the inside. Drivers here working on lap 21. There's the dive down for Vickery. He's going to throw the slider. Big wiggle there from Nicholson. Is that going to upset the car enough to allow a fight back? No, he is able to keep it going.
Yep. Oh, big slider's going contact with the leaders up front.
Oh, and that was just a slide job going wrong. Even more contact. That's Pomerleau with big impact into the wall. Is he able to keep going the straight way? No, that's going to be another yellow.
Man, lots of movement going on. People throwing sliders. We see the replay here. Just a slider kind of going wrong a little bit. Contact was made, and it kind of checked everybody up. And wow, we had a car go flying through the air. I believe that's Pomerleau.
That was Pomerleau, and I was hoping he was going to be able to point the right direction. I didn't realize he needed to be worried about keeping all four wheels on the ground. Oh my goodness gracious. So glad Pomerleau is okay there. He does look like he pitted for a fresh car, but Vickery's going to continue to lead, and Nicholson will be back to his outside, so that battle is certainly going to continue, JR.
It's definitely getting heated up front for sure. These are late models, so you're able to lean on each other a little bit. If these guys are side by side in the corner, expect a little bit more contact moving forward.
All right, so we'll have to see what it is there. You see Vickery just kind of weaving back and forth, maybe trying to get a little bit of heat into those tires, take any competitive advantage that he can.
Yeah, and one thing you're kind of working here, it's late in the race, track state's worn down to about where it's going to be. You're not going to have big changes moving forward. You're wanting to see how much traction you've got out of those rear tires and where that traction's at. So it's a good time to do it while you're under caution.
And there you saw there for Vickery, I think, doing a little bit of that test as well, coming out of turn 4 to just see what it was. Is he going to opt here? Oh, no, we're under 10 laps. I believe we go single file restarts under 10 laps.
Yeah, I believe you're correct. That's a big advantage for Vickery. He can kind of focus forward, just get a decent start here, and then choose which lane he wants moving forward on that first lap.
Yeah, and you saw him take that test start to really get everything going. As here we go, this is going to be Nick Vickery trying to back the field up just a little bit. Pace truck pulls off, waiting for the start. That was Nicholson trying to game it out a little bit, and I think that's going to cost him, JR, as Vickery's got a huge jump on the field.
Absolutely great job by Nick there to get a run. Nicholson tried to get something going, but just timed it incorrectly, and now he's trying to work the bottom to make up the time that he's lost here.
He's able to gain back a little bit of time, but not nearly as much. Good battle going on behind between Schatzer and Chapman. Chapman, who is up 9 spots on the day. He is your biggest mover. That's the 72 down to the inside as he tries to battle with Kurt Schatzer.
Absolutely. He was fast in his B main, continuing to be fast here in the feature race. Just really, really tough on the bottom there. It's really slick. Got to make sure you back up your corner entry and don't over-rotate.
Yeah, exactly. As there we see him trying to make it work. He's losing a little bit of ground, but who isn't losing ground? That's your leader, Nicholas Vickery, who's starting to pull out to the tune of about 0.5 of a second.
Yep, he's settled in, focused forward, knows which lane he needs to run, and I don't see anybody catching him at the moment, but Schatzer is closing in for that second spot.
Ooh, that looked like a little bit of smack into the wall there for Zach Chapman. Not exactly what he wants to see, but he's going to continue working his way around here. Single file for the most part is Nicholson, who's now finding himself under a little bit of an attack from Kurt Schatzer.
Absolutely. Battle for second is closing up, heating up a little bit here as we get into the last few laps, coming to 2 to go this time by.
Oh, good battle in the back. That's Patrick Spangler in the 181 of Kemper. Spangler up to the super high side here.
It's late in the race. If you think something's going to work, you try it out now. Get everything you can out of the car.
And 2 to go here. That is Miller starting to challenge Zach Chapman down on the low side. Miller in that 667 or 677, excuse me. As there's a little bit of a battle maybe going on up front. That's Nicholson starting to challenge for the lead. Vickery crosses the line, takes the white flag. Here he goes. He's trying to take it down low. He's been running high this entire time, but he wants to go down low to cover everything off. Here he comes. He's only got 2 more corners to go. Nicholson sends it in deep, tries to go, but I don't think he's going to get the run to the line. And indeed, Vickery takes victory here. And that's Carson Nicholson behind him and Kurt Schatzer rounding out your podium.
Absolutely. Great race these guys put on. Very, very few cautions overall. And, yeah, they really showed their talent and what they're capable of doing. Look forward to the rest of this season.
It's going to be a good one for sure. We always love to see these dirt late models out on track. And that is going to bring us to your finishing order here. As we mentioned, it is going to be Nick Vickery taking victory here at Volusia Speedway with Carson Nicholson behind him. Kurt Schatzer takes home that P3 position with the photo finish at the line there. You can see Field Miller came home in 4th, followed by Zach Chapman in 5th and Brandon Templeton in 6th.
And 7th place goes to Randy Shreves, 8th Patrick Spangler, 9th Jeffrey Kemper, 10th goes to Roger Craig, 11th place goes to Andy Piercefield, 12th Alex Pomerleau, and rounding out the field for tonight's feature in 13th was Kyle Parker.
And we are lucky enough to be joined by our victor here, Nicholas Vickery. Nick, that has got to feel good to get that win out here.
Yeah, it does. It's been a long night.
It looked like that you were running pretty well, and then obviously a couple of cautions there throwing you for a little bit of a loop and scaring you. How worried were you?
Yeah, I knew that Nicholson was fast. The way that we raced when we did have green flag runs, I knew that he was going to be there at the end of the race, and I really just had to get a good jump on the restart, and that's hope that I got a good enough jump that he wasn't able to reel me back in.
Well, obviously, we do have a championship to worry about, and I've got to ask you, is this something that you're going to be thinking about going forward in this series in particular, worried about that championship, maybe seeing if you can do anything going forward?
Yeah, I talked to Steven Spees a little bit after last week's race, and, him and I talked, and he's actually going to be out for 2 or 3 weeks, so I knew that he was going to be tough. He won the Pro Late Model division last season. But based on the way the guys ran tonight, there's a lot of guys that are going to be fighting for the championship this year. And with it being a shortened season for the Pro Late Models, really every race counts. So.
Well, we'll keep an eye, and we wish you the best of luck, my friend. Anybody you'd like to thank for this victory?
Yeah, first off is Spartan Racing. There's a couple guys in the race tonight, and saw that Field Miller was able to work his way back up to 4th. So congrats to him as well for finishing just outside the podium. After that is going to be SBGC 3D Printing. If anybody out there has any 3D printing needs, definitely go check out Mr. Tom Taylor over on Facebook. After that is VMR Wraps. If anybody out there needs a wrap, definitely come check us out on Facebook at VMR E-Wraps. Miriam Machado Spa, my wife for letting me do this. Roger and Preston, and a shout out to Roger. I know he's been getting them all night, but happy birthday. He's a young 25 this year, so gotta keep him moving. And then of course you guys are putting on a great show all night.
Well, I know we're more than happy to put on a show like this when you guys put on a show like you did. That was Nick Vickery, your victor here tonight. And JR, I believe you've caught up with our second place finisher, Carson Nicholson.
Absolutely, DJ. Carson, great run tonight coming home in P2. Walk us through your run and the battle for the lead up front there.
Yeah, I just track got away from me there at the end. I got too excited. Was in the field too much, and Nick was fast, and I couldn't really hold him off too much. And I found a little bit of something down on the bottom in 3 and 4, but it was real hard to hit. It's a fine line; you got to hit every time. So I gave him everything I had, but he just was a little bit better tonight.
Yeah, walk us through the changing track conditions. Did the track conditions change quite a bit during this race, or did it pretty well stay consistent in these Pro Late models?
Yeah, it changed up quite a bit there at the beginning, and I was kind of diming it off in 3 and 4 and cutting across the middle and going on the bottom, and 1 and 2 you kind of just carried around the top. But 1 and 2 stayed the same pretty much all night, and 3 and 4 just changed up a little bit. He was able to keep the top going a little bit better like Nick was, so congrats to him.
Yep, again, Carson, congratulations on coming home P2 tonight. Anybody you want to thank for your great run?
Yeah, I think Icon, Sim Sports, Cherokee Transmissions, Reasonable Rival, Septic, Nicholson Plumbing, Hometown Automotive, Martin Motorsports, my girlfriend for letting me race on here. Just everybody that makes it possible. I appreciate it more than anything.
We appreciate you, Carson, taking the time to talk with us. Again, congratulations on that run.
Yes, sir. Thank you guys for putting on a good show.
Yep, we appreciate it, man. Thank you. DJ, I think you've caught up with our 3rd place finisher tonight.
I have indeed, Kurt Schatzer. You were seeming to be involved in just about every bit of action out on track, and after a race like that, Kurt, you've got to be happy coming home P3.
Oh yeah, I am. I'm real thankful to the guys, Icon Sim Sports. They helped me a lot.
Well, clearly they did, and it looked like you were really able to run that car wherever you wanted to out on track. I mean, how much were you watching the lanes? How much were you just trying to drive it the best you could?
Oh, I was just following Nicholson and Vickery, just watching their slide jobs and hoping they didn't, get caught up and didn't get caught up with them.
Well, it's a strategy that worked out for you, my friends, and we're very happy to see you here on the third step on the podium. Anybody you'd like to thank for the run tonight?
Yeah, like I said, the guys at Icon Sim Sports, Joe Halter, Brandon Templeton, Brian Dickinson, Carson, he got second there. He was fast. My brother, he does my wraps for me, Ty Schatzer, and spots for me also. But yeah, they're the guys I like to thank. You guys for putting on a good show. You guys do awesome.
We are more than happy to do it. Thank you so much. That was Kurt Schatzer, your third place runner here today. Well, folks, that's about going to wrap things up for us here on VGN. But before we go, we'd like to once again thank our many sponsors for tonight's events, including A&J Custom Creations, Icon Sim Sports, SBGC 3D Printing, iRacing League Manager, the Pitside Podcast, Lucas Oil Empire, Super Sprints, Super Dirt Cars Series, the World of Sports Podcast, Gambler Motorsports, Can-Am Racing Team, and Chip Bangers Racing. Be sure to check out Coast to Coast Racing Network on YouTube and click subscribe to catch all the Coast to Coast Racing League action. Join us for Monday Night Madness from 7 to 10 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time as Marty Zlecka and SJRN bring you all of the Raiders, Rebels, and Renegades action on Mondays from 7 to 10 Eastern. It's the Icon Sim Sports Hometown Heroes on the Virtual Grip Network live from Volusia Speedway. You already know how good of action that is. And hang out with XFTV for Thursday Night Thunder featuring the Big Block Modifieds and more from 7 to 10 Eastern Time. Join us for the next broadcast for the Coast to Coast Racing League Hometown Heroes broadcast. That will be January 5th at 7 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time. And the next race here on the Virtual Grip Network, well, that's going to be the second annual Cool Ray Icebreaker 100 from Cedar Lake Speedway, December 29th at 8 o'clock Eastern. We'll be back for that race from Cedar Lake. This has been a production of Coast to Coast Racing Network and the Virtual Grip Network. And until we see you on the track, thanks for watching.